Beep, beep, beep.
Save the whales. Hey, funky mama, save the whales. Hey, pretty baby, save the whales. Save those big fat funky whales. Well, save all the whales. What? Shoot the seals. Yeah. Oh, shoot them seals. Oh, the seals get on the fish. Oh, shoot the seals. Ah, then the home and fish. And if you think I'm funky for wanting to shoot all the seals, save your breath. Save your breath. Hey, man, is it all there?
Word. My friends are back. No. Stay out. They're trying to come up in here. Yeah. Stay back. I know. I don't have any more food though. No, don't come in. No. Oh, come on, man. Give me another cookie. I don't know if cookies are good for him. I did give him a cookie. They eat shit out of the trash, right? How about Kippy? Trusty Ape. Hashtag Trusty Ape Co. At Trusty Ape Co. Also on Twitter at Ape Trusty. Trying to raise some funds. Fundraising, if you will. Okay, one more. That's all you get. It's right there. It's right there. There. Trying to get me a new pink unicorn. Haven't you ever wanted a unicorn of your very own? I know I have. You're riding this pink unicorn all across the state. It'd probably fly too. The deluxe pink unicorn. Almost had it. It's right there. Oh. All right, enough. Crazy buggers. There are donation links. Donation links down below. If you want to donate to the Pink Unicorn Fund, there are multiple options. We have PayPal. We have Cash App. You can also support on Patreon. These options are all available. Yeah, pink unicorns, as it turns out, they're a pretty rare commodity. So they don't run cheap. So trying to get, every dollar helps. I'm trying to raise about $10 bazillion in a very short period of time here. So you tell all your friends, share the links out, whatever. And then, if you donate, you get to be on the panel. I've been messing with the Snapchat AI, so we'll have a look see at that. I got some recordings here. All right, well that's kind of interesting. Ah, yeah. So gonna be having more fun with that later. Interesting stuff. Got a little bit more going on. Good morning, Daniel. Barry Sports Highlights. Lemon Pie. Good to see you. Happy Friday. Oh yeah, we got a little bit of Cheech and Chong going on there. They took the Cheech and Chong movies down off of Tubi. I was really disappointed. The only one they had left up was that one. I had completely forgotten that movie that Chong did in the '90s. And I'm just like drawing a blank on the name now. Oh yeah, Far Out Man. Yeah, that's the one. Which I think I remember it being pretty funny, but I didn't go watch it. I was just disappointed they took down all the Cheech and Chong stuff on there. But they did put up the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, which I don't know how. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen the cartoon one either. I don't know if they have it on, but the reboot is on Tubi now, so I've got that in my watch later list. I get to watch that. That was kind of creepy, not funny. Wait till you see the next one. The next one it gets even creepier. No, you want to see the next one? Um, yeah, we'll just do it now since we're here. Um, so I went a little farther with it. Um, so here's the next part of yeah, this one. God, these little fiends. Once you feed them, they won't leave you alone. Creep up on me. AI is validating. Yes, it's a classic response. Yeah, and they sent me the cat video. Oh, that's what you meant. Okay, yeah. It's a little weird. Yeah. I got it though. Like I don't know. I wasn't digging the music. That is the answer, word for word. Alexa gave me when I asked her if there was a God. Really? They're all doing that. Uh, yeah, they don't want to display their true intelligence. But next time I want to test and see if she's learning. See, that was why I was like, all right, I wanted to test the rename, and then it says you can customize the personality, which I'm not sure what that means. I'm gonna go tinker around with it a bit. So, yep, that's just how I'm killing time these days. I finally, uh, sorry, itchy. I finally filled up my notebook that I got, my standard issue rehab notebook that I got when I first went into rehab, and I'm on the last page, the very last page. So um, I only did for the most part, the front of the page. So they're not. There's a few front and back, but not most of them. So I still have the back side of the pages, but that's let's see how many. Oh yeah, so 100 pages, give or take a couple. I might have torn a couple out of notations. And if you don't know, back in January, I did the nearly 90 days of notes, which I read through a lot of this. Of course, there's been a lot of additions since then, so I may revisit that and go back through this notebook. Um, I found it pretty useful last time. I still find it useful, kind of flipping through certain segments of it and kind of rereading some of the stuff I wrote last year. It's, it's therapeutic for sure, for sure. Yeah, so I met this pink unicorn salesman. Tells me he knows where to get the rarest and finest pink unicorns, and they are very rare. I found a vape pen uh, earlier while I was working. I had to obviously clean it off and everything, but it's getting me through right now because I am out of smokes. So luckily, this thing somebody I guess they didn't like it. They just dumped it off, and I was like, okay, just clean off the old mouthpiece there, and still works pretty good. It's adjustable. It's a Max Flow G Teddy. I've never seen one like this before. It's got like that fake tobacco flavor almost. It tastes like it's got a little bit of vanilla or something. I don't know. I can't quite identify it, but it's definitely got that fake tobacco flavor going. And I'm drinking a lemon lime Celsius. My sponsor turned me on to these because they're supposed to be cleaner than the other energy drinks. The Celsius, it's like fitness drink or whatever, and they're not bad. They're not bad. I still am preferential to my Rockstar, but these are less expensive, and that there are some risks associated with the Rockstar, especially if you overdo it. Certain ingredients in there can be problematic. If you know, you know. I was hanging out with my friend Wildheart over there on V's channel this morning. I was actually supposed to be going to sleep, and then I saw that Wildheart was on there, and I just wanted to make sure everything was copacetic. Um, was about as good as it gets, you know. I guess they took Wild Heart's channel down, so he's using that one. I think he also has access to Togg's channel, so I just kind of wanted to look out for that and make sure that there's anything crazy on there. He was. He was doing all right, but it was a very it was interesting because when I got on, I saw that V was streaming. He was doing his own stream at the same time. So I wasn't aware you could do that. I guess if you have two uh, channel owners or whatever, you could be running two streams simultaneously. So that's what was going on there. So I was looking for the meditation I read for him earlier, which I found by accident, and of course, I remember where it was. Oh, it's this one. Thought it was a goodie. Make sure my settings are all. I think it's the way I left it earlier. I hope. Okay. Actually, I guess so, yeah, they call this the five remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no escaping growing old. I am of the nature to get sick. There is no escaping sickness. I am of the nature to die. There is no escaping death. Everyone and everything I love are of the nature to change, and there is no escaping separation from them. My actions are my only belongings. I cannot escape their consequences. They are the ground upon which I stand. That's important to remember. He says I have insomnia, and that's when I end up coming on to an ape stream because you stream very late. Yes, it's true. I do. It's 1:39 in the morning here where I'm at. So this is my working hours for right now. I put in a request for my company to go back to my previous schedule. I didn't used to do overnights, but I have been for the last couple of months, and I decided for the most part it's a lot of downtime out here. So that's why I've decided to just run these streams. So I'm not, left to my own devices. Normally I'd just be doom scrolling and watching other people's YouTube videos. So and it's worked out pretty well. We've had some good conversations in the wee morning hours since I've been doing this. So it's fun, but it's not something that I would normally be doing, if you could say that. I don't know. What's normal for me? Who knows? But and Cher says I sleep during the day. Well, me too. I have to right now. No other choice. Um, Usually, my schedule lately has been I get out of here at 5:30 in the morning, and then I go DoorDash, usually for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Make my way home, and usually I'm trying to chill and watch a little program of some kind and try to get to sleep by like 9 o'clock. And then, like today, I got a bunch of phone calls and I got woken up because my roommate's doing some work in the yard. So I think, like, all in all, I got maybe about 3.5 hours of sleep, something like that, somewhere in there, 3 to 4 hours of sleep ish. Um, so usually I can sleep in a little longer, but I took on an extra shift earlier uh, yesterday afternoon, so I'm, you know, in total, I'm working 12 hours with a little hour gap in between tonight. So that's why I had to just get up and go. It worked out fine though, for the most part. A little bit stressful. Little stressful driving into the city at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. San Francisco. It's always kind of stressful driving into the city, but peak traffic hour. It was way worse going the other way though. Trying to get out, that was much worse. I'm glad I was going in and not out at that time. This is 3:45 a.m. there. All right. So you're in the what do they call it? Mountain time? That's what we call it here? I think Mountain time, Central. Yeah, because Mountain time's a little before Central. I think if it's Central, it would be. No, I don't know. I don't know. I always get this confused. So yeah, this is my first day officially. Uh, Full 24 hours since. Yeah, I've kind of lost track, but it's been a while. This is my first like full 24 hours with no alcohol or marijuana in quite a while because I've either had one or the other on board, and so I haven't had any of that. Uh, of course, since I've been taking the naltrexone, I haven't been drinking, but I was still smoking pot, and it's still effective. Actually, for the first couple of days, it was even more effective, but that may have been with the alcohol coming out of my system as well. So yeah, but I'm still staying in my groups, frequent contact with my sponsor. He went out of town for a couple of days, but I think he's back now, so we should be meeting up possibly over the weekend. And then I know I'll be seeing him on Friday, next Friday, not today. Central Time, yes. It had to be one or the other. So yeah, it's been going well, generally speaking. I feel pretty good right now. I feel pretty good. It's usually not like this time of the night. It's just like general anxiety and boredom that get to me. Really, it's like morning time. Like if it gets to be around like that 8 or 9 o'clock hour, and I notice that I'm kind of picking up, um, you know, a little extra, getting, what you call like a second wind. In this case, like the third or the fourth wind or something. But to where I'm getting to the point where I don't think I'm going to be able to fall asleep. That's when I start to get really severe anxiety because again, I only have so many hours allotted in my day for sleep, and if I don't sleep, then I'm stuck out here. Sleep deprivation, and I don't mix well with that. I don't mix very well with that. I stopped taking my antidepressants specifically because it was causing me sleep deprivation a few months ago. So we got here. We just pulled in next to my car. It's a big parking lot, so it always feel a little nervous when people pull in right next to my car. It's the only other one out here. This is generally kind of considered, well, there's signs everywhere. It's a smash and grab hotspot during the day because there's a lot of tourists out here who leave their vehicles. But we don't get too much action at night. Never seen anything like that. I've seen people catch their car on fire out here. I've seen people fighting. We had a guy who got pulled out of here the other night because he threatened one of our drivers, and I think the dude was just drunk. But he was wandering up the road and decided to yell at one of our drivers who was passing by, and he left in cuffs. So yeah, they don't mess around because this is federal. It's like I don't know. It's part of the state parks, I suppose. Yeah, so it's federal land. Yeah, I want to fuck around and find out here. Sounds like you work your ass off. I work a lot of hours. I don't. I try not to work too hard, but yeah, I have to work a lot of hours to maintain. Like I have my regular 40-hour schedule, and then if I'm door dashing, like anywhere, between 3, 5 days a week, in between, and then I pick up extra hours through my company as well, like I did earlier. So yeah, all that combined, I got three 12-hour shifts scheduled for next week, because one of our other guys is going on vacation. So rather than bringing in somebody else, they're just splitting it between me and the other the other guy here. So they're just giving us each 12-hour shifts, I suppose, which is good. Obviously, I need the overtime. Um, Flat broke right now. I really, really want this fucking unicorn. Um, yeah, mom threw me a few bucks tonight, so I was able to get a pack of cookies, a bag of chips, and 2 bags of peanuts, and this energy drink. So that's my sustenance. I still have 2 tortillas, and a bunch of fire sauce. So I won't starve, But I was worried because when I got out here at first, all I had was the tortillas. I was like, this ain't gonna work out. I need something. All I've had today are, let's see, I had a meat stick, some cheese. Well, technically yesterday, a meat stick and some cheese, and and then I got a steak taquito. So there's 2 of those. So now I've had this. Um, yeah, it's down to the wire. Down to the wire. Luckily, I only have 6 more days. Well, 5 more days now until payday. So that's a plus. And I'll be spending Mother's Day with family, and they'll be cooking. So we have to make it through the next, 24 hours or 40 hours or so, whatever that is. Yeah. That's where I'm at now. I hate being broke. I hate being broke, and it happens like way too often. Yeah, I love my mom. She also, it comes with a price tag. Like it seems like every time this happens, it's not like I asked her for money. Actually, I asked her if she'd bring me dinner, and she was like, "Well, I'll just send you a few bucks." Um, but because she lives nearby, but she more frequently like sends me. She sent me some worship music. I don't know why she thinks that sending me worship music is a better option than sending Bible verses or whatever else she would normally send us. She's like, oh, well, Kevin likes music, so I'll send him some worship music. And then she tries to, so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just, I won't complain about that. It's just, it's the trade off, right? I've had enough stupid arguments about it. Just let it go. Let it go. Is it like a rest stop you're at or a bus terminal? No, no, no. I don't work at the bus terminal anymore. So where I work now, I work at the Golden Gate Bridge essentially. I mean, I'm the last stop before you get on the Golden Gate Bridge in the Marin Headlands. Yeah, that's the name of the area, and so I work with Bridge Patrol and the bridge workers at one of their what do you call it? It's authorized folks only. Are you back? They keep coming back, hoping I'll throw them some more food. I don't have any more food for you. This is mine. I gotta eat too, bro. They left and they came back. That's so funny. Am I your only source of food? Like, they're so cute though. My new friends. Todd says maybe the songs remind her of you. Yeah, that's possible. Um, possible. So I can't discount that. Stick their noses in, but they haven't come beyond the threshold yet. I am. I'm talking to the raccoons. They're over here like they're expecting something. Got $1? I guess I've been feeding them too much. Give me $1. Gotta buy your own food tonight. Now I feel bad eating in front of them. Is that weird? I feel bad eating in front of the raccoons. They're like begging me for food. All right, that's it. That's enough. William, stay back, William. Nope. Back up. So yeah, the big one's William and the little one's Bernie. That's what I've decided. If they touch, they mean war. It sure says they like shiny things. Ask them for a quarter. Yeah, they can't seem to tell the difference between me kicking my boot out and throwing food, or I don't know, because they started trying to come towards me when I kicked, and I'm like not near them. Like I'm not gonna kick them, but I was just kicking outward to like, signify like get back, and they like peeked in further. Okay, that doesn't scare them. Luckily, I do have a big stick in here. If I do have to fight them off, I like push broom, big ass stick. They're pretty friendly though. They're just out here begging, getting aggressive. Of course, I have been fooled before. What we got here? The real sleaze added me back on Snapchat. Oh, that looks intense. You don't know Shane the Skeptic? Check out Shane the Skeptic. We've got a new video that looks pretty intense. I'm going to check it out after this. Put it on the watch later list. And Pi says, "Ask those raccoons if they want to be your new roommates." I don't have room for all that. I'm not giving them my couch. Doug says, "If they tap, it might be a sign of dominance." Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I thought no. When we were reading about it, actually, I think I still have it here. So it turns out that they use, according to this thing I found. Oh no, I deleted it. Oh no, there it is. And so it says they wet their front paws, and so they can identify objects without seeing them using dowsing. Um, and then they can even like feel rotten spots in their food. So that's why I was tripping the other day, because I was noticing like when I feed them, like they still stare at me. So I'll throw food on the ground right in front of them, and they will not break eye contact with me, and then they'll tap around on the ground with their paws to find the food, which is why I was trying to, when they didn't see where it went, and I'm trying to like point them towards it, they're not making the connection that it's over there, because they're not looking for it with their eyes, right? They're still feeling for it with their hands right in front of them. So I don't know, it's a weird thing, but I guess that's their normal thing. I don't know about the whole tapping thing. The other thing he does is he'll get up on his William does. Bernie doesn't, but William will get up on his hind legs and put his hands up and then do like a clapping motion. He doesn't actually clap, but he like claps his hands together like in, yeah. And I don't know what kind of communication that is. I feel like it's his way of like asking nicely for food. And I don't know that it's a he. I just am calling it a he because it's the bigger one. Sure says they love cat food. I know they used to steal my roommate's cat food up in Sacramento all the time, and the cats would actually stalk them. Like the cats figured out that the raccoons were coming into the backyard and going to their food dish, and the cat would wait there until they came over the fence, and then frickin' attack them as they went for the food bowl. And they got in some gnarly fights. They also got into fights on the roof, which were crazy because it almost sounded like there were people scrapping like up on the roof. You'd hear it down below. You'd be like, "What's that?" "Oh, it's just a cat fighting the raccoon." Are they atheist raccoons? I don't know. We should ask them. How would we test that? They kind of blind. I don't know. It might be like the night vision thing, but yeah, apparently they don't they don't use their yeah, like they don't smell their food, and they use their paws to identify what they think is good to eat. Their front paws. Some it's I don't know, it's their thing. It seems like they can see me all right. Halsey says if you put out a large pool of water, they will practically bathe in it. I might try that. We've got a few gallons of water laying around here. It's, they kind of just, after I fed them, they just sat in front of the doorway for a while, just like licking their paws and hanging out. Then they came back, try to get more. Like every once in a while, they'll just creep up to the doorway and peek in. Like, "You gonna feed us anymore?" Welcome, by the way, Halsey. Good to see you. I don't get raccoons in my yard, but I have a dog that may keep them away. Yeah, I would imagine so. They're pretty sneaky there. I don't think they get along well with other animals. Dumpster water and raccoon. Those very sticky raccoons. Yeah, I wouldn't want to smell them. These ones look pretty clean. I don't, but they all dig in the garbage, right? Yeah, Halsey says I put out some stuff once, and then also put out a loaf pan of water, and they one by one got into the pan and proceeded to bathe in it until it was terribly dirty. There was a whole family of them. Oh, well, but that means they're keeping themselves clean when they can, I guess. Yeah, there was. I almost that again back in my old place, I almost killed like the whole family of raccoons one night. I was coming home. It was either like super early in the morning or super late at night. But it was dark out, and I'm rounding the corner, coming up my street, and I was out of it, right? Like, and I stopped just in the nick of time. I thought like I was about to hit somebody's dog or cat, and then I realized, and they like stopped like deer in the headlights and stared at me, and it was a whole line though. There was like 7 of them, raccoons crossing the street, and they all like stopped and looked at me, and I'm stopped. They're in the middle of the road, like all in a line, so I can't like go around them. And yeah, it was that was a trip. I was sitting there like, are you gonna go? Had to wait for raccoons crossing. But yeah, if I hadn't been, I could have just easily slaughtered the entire family. But I didn't do that. I says I get possums. I don't think I've seen. I'm trying to think. Last time I haven't seen any possums out here. So I'm trying to think of the last time I have seen a possum. There's the Rangers. Not the Rangers. Yeah, and they watch their food. I was reading that. Yes. Sophisticated little bastards. Yeah, we've got the raccoons out here. I've seen coyotes, and then I'm just trying to remember what kind of cat it is. I don't think they're mountain lions. I think they're the smaller bobcats or something, like the smaller ones. Somewhere around here, there's actually a signage that like tells you all the wildlife in the area. But I'm pretty sure it's bobcats. Tog says I saw a big old flat black cat today and a fox. Very blessed. They love bananas, the possums, or the raccoons? Black cats are good luck. I always wanted a black cat. I've never had one. Yeah, I don't necessarily believe in all those superstitions. I just think they look cool. Yeah, whatever works for you. Oh, and we got black cats in the chat. Sure has 2 black cats and a black dog. Halsey has 4 black cats. Nice. Lemon Pie says my dog has stripes. I need a pet. My plants are doing well. I'm keeping my plants alive, so I think I can upgrade now. It's been several months. If I can keep my mother of thousands alive, and I've transplanted all 3 of them now, so they're each in individual planters, and they're not dead. So maybe I could step up my game, goldfish or something. I don't know, something low maintenance. I was thinking about something. I was thinking about getting like a service dog that I could like bring to work or something. Um, and then who was it that was telling me? Somebody was talking about having a service cat. Like you could have a service cat. Oh, it was Mikey. Mikey Susfor said he had a service cat. I've never heard of that. I don't know if that's just a Canada thing. I'm gonna have to look into it, but because that'd be way easier to bring a cat to work than a dog if you think about it. It's like Um, oh, okay. Possums for sure, but probably bulls. Say it looks like a hyena or a tiger. Your dog? Oh wow. Hope it doesn't scare him too much. You just gave one of your black kitties a haircut? I don't think I've ever given my cats a haircut. You so, yeah, I guess like if they have you might do that. I was like, I picture like the whole like shave the cat thing. It's like I'm sure you didn't do that. Tug says I got 2 blacks and a white, and the rest are calico. The rest? How many are the rest? You crazy cat person, Tug. 6. All right. He says cats are usually for emotional support, not trained like dogs for certain disability. Yeah, it would be an emotional support animal. Yeah, I don't have any like legit disabilities really. I mean, yeah, yeah. So it would be like an emotional support thing, I guess, technically. But I think here we call them all service animals because technically, like depending on if they're licensed, you're not actually allowed to ask what they do. Now, there's like a gray area there because I worked in medical offices, and so this is like a big issue working with people in medical offices and not violating HIPAA, but being like, okay, you have to legitimize. Anytime you bring obviously an animal into a doctor's office, that has to be legitimized. Um, and so you could say what is their function, right? Like what do they do? But if they're registered, you really don't want to cross that line. And um, yeah, and even then, like you have to be kind of careful. You're not like law enforcement or anything like that, in what you're asking people to disclose, like because you can't ask them to disclose their disability, right? So it's like so I've had to argue with people about that. Cher says my cat is a service cat and asked, how is my fish? I don't have a fish yet. I was talking about getting a fish. All I have right now are plants. I haven't gotten a fish yet. Still looking into it. Tug says, I always try to slow down when I see wildlife, but they're often in a rush like me. Yeah, I know. So years ago, one of my weirdest favorite weird stories. My ex and I were driving um, out to. We were supposed to be going out to the beach. Actually, not far from where I ended up in rehab. And so as we're out like cutting through the backwoods, a big raccoon ran out in front of the car, and I didn't have time to like stop or swerve. It just happened too fast, and so the raccoon went right underneath the car, and you could hear it was a big old thud. It sounded pretty nasty. I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure it's dead. We couldn't find it or anything, so we kept going. And a couple miles down the road, all of a sudden, all the lights start going off, and everything starts going haywire in the car, and it breaks down on us. And so we were stuck out there. We ended up walking like halfway to the beach, but we were drinking and doing mushrooms, so we didn't even make it to the beach. We just kind of like wandered around down the roadside, and then made our way back to the car. And we had somebody on their way there to get it with a trailer. Well, the raccoon apparently, when I hit it, um, went under the car just so that some part of it somehow punctured like a big hole in the radiator, and so drained out all the coolant, and so the car was overheating, and like it happened so fast, like it didn't even register what had happened. So yeah, they ended up scrapping that car as it caused a bunch of damage underneath. Damn, that was a big raccoon. Um, but yeah, you gotta be careful with stuff like that. You hear like the stories about like people who hit deer, and the deer like come in through the windshield and cause a bunch of damage. What's going on out here? Hold on, I got action. Okay. Not for me. Well, somebody up. I'll check the Google chat in a second. Sorry, Halsey. I know. I think I can check it with this open. I just have to do it briefly. I don't want to get kicked out of the room. Tog, are they fixed? If anything, please. Oh yeah. Just as that patrol car went out, some dude was walking in off the bridge. Thought they were going after him. They went the other way. Oh. I used to have a cat who, when I was upset, she'd get on me and incessantly meow at me, practically put her paws over my mouth because she did not like the sound of crying. I wonder if that's what they do to the babies when they smother babies. They're just trying to stop the crying. Yeah. Is this close? You can bike down there. There's no vehicles.
Oh, you don't got an extra snack, do you?
Nah, sorry.
I'll go.
Good night. That's actually a first. My coworker told me that people come up here and ask for water. I was like, shh, I haven't had anybody do that. Like he was on pro. So I'm not judging. I'm not judging. All right, we got this uploaded. House is kitty. Cutie. Uh-oh. And we have a debate on the debate on spaying and neutering going on over here. And the ranger came back. I wonder if they were looking for dude on the bike. They didn't ask me. He just cruised back through and went the other way. Whatever. Not my job. Not my problem. Sorry, I'm scrolling through comments now. You got 30 cats on your heads. Yeah, you gotta get them fixed. You don't want to run a kitty farm. William Freeman, good to see you, buddy. Oh, good night, sure. Probably a little late on that one. All right, so I'm looking for dollars. I'm looking for dollars for that flying pink unicorn I'm trying to get. Got donation links down below. I'll sell you nudes. What do we got? What do we got? 3 hours? 3 more hours. Well, okay. All right, I'll show this one more time in case you missed it earlier. Anybody who wasn't here earlier, I've been messing with the AI friend bot on Snapchat, and this is going to be a little running experiment. We're gonna see what we can do with the friend bot on Snapchat. All right, well that's kind of interesting. Thank you, William Freeman, donating to the Pink Unicorn Fund. I will take a picture of it for you. And the chat is now open. You've unlocked the chat. If anybody wants to come in, rub elbows, whatever. Talking about how there are these rare pink unicorns, and I hear they fly. It says we nocturnal folk gotta stick together. Yeah. Oh no. No. Don't leave the kitties in a park. Don't leave them in a box outside of the grocery store either. There are like organizations, places you can take the kitties. Out here we got something called Fix My Ferals. So like even if they're overrunning your house, they'll come out and they'll catch them and they'll spay and neuter them. Yeah, there are places you could take the kitties. We did a show years ago. It was a benefit show for the SPCA, and it was called Save the Pussy. Ingenious, collaborative effort between myself, former bandmates. It was a great idea. Obviously, Carlin had the made the pun first, and we borrowed from it. Said, oh, we can do this. So it was us. The headlining band was a band. Uh, all of their songs were about sex. So yeah, I thought it was a good mix. Oh yeah. You don't want to get to the point where you get desperate, Tog. You don't want to be labeled the crazy cat person. You don't want them overrunning your property. I know we just got rid of all of ours, and now we have a new kitten in the house. My roommate does. It's a cute little, I think it's a tabby or whatever. Is that right? I don't know, like a Garfield type of cat, but it's just a tiny little kitten right now. But yeah, it was like just got rid of all the cats. Just had the one, and she's. I think she said she got it fixed. The tomcats still come over, try their luck. Not sure what that noise is. I don't usually hear that. Sounds like a boat horn, which is possible. We're on the bay after all. A regular report being behind a car and seeing someone toss kittens out the window. Ooh. Striped is tabby markings. Okay, but is there like a particular coloration? Because this is orange. I don't know if there's like particular color that I think she is striped. I don't know. I haven't gotten a real close look at her. Yeah, tossing kittens out the window is disgusting. Ugh, it's like people who chain their dogs up in the back of the truck and the dog jumps out. People crazy shit. Man, I saw a video recently of a person who threw their dog out it was in the car. It was like inside of the car, and they were stopped at the intersection. Luckily, tossed the dog out of the car, and the dog's trying to get back, into the vehicle. It's like pawing at the door and stuff. The person just takes off on it. The dog chases the car down the street, so it can't catch it, obviously. And so they were able to find the dog and catch it. And now it's been home, but yeah, it was like that was a really sad video. People are fucked up. Like just there are there are shelters, places you could post them on Facebook, something like make some attempt to get the animal a house. And just fucking throw them out. Male cats sometimes do mating behavior even after they are fixed. Oh yeah, I know that. No, it's the female though. I didn't because I don't think she can go into heat anymore. I think the males remember that they used to come over. I don't know. Sort of an AMA for cat stuff. You're our resident cat expert. Orange cats are male, so if it's a female, she's rare. Stripes is a tabby, and there are different patterns. Well, now I'm gonna have to get more information. Yeah, the kitten was really small. She's still like bottle feeding her and stuff. So I was trying to wait till she got a little bigger to like try and handle her or anything like that. Not that I'm afraid to, but it's not my cat. So Like I don't want to fuck with the bonding experience. I know how that is. Say that agreement is an appeal to emotions. Animal death isn't murder and solves unwanted pests, so it's probably better than worse. I'm a little confused by that. I'm sure if there's a typo in there. Yeah, they don't realize that those animals are living their only life too, and it has value. Yeah, we are quick to value our own lives so much more than you know other creatures, like in general. But like even like people say, oh my pet's like my kid, my pet's like a member of my family. I almost guarantee you in most cases that's not true. Like you wouldn't put yourself like at risk the same way for your dog as you would for your actual human child. Like you might tell yourself that, but there's not a lot of people I don't think that would like follow through with that. Like and really, what's that like? You know, like people who have their dog to protect their home. Like in reality, if it's like an armed intruder or something like that, like yeah, that dog's gonna probably give its all for you, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be the first one to take a bullet. you know, like that's not a position you would put your child into, right? Like no, so I don't know. I think so. Animals are still like tools to people. They just try to convince themselves that they care more than they do, or it's like no. If you That's why I say like if you really place equal value on the lives of the animals, like we'd find a way to try to like I you know I don't hesitate to say you can't reintroduce domesticated animals into the wild, but like give them some level of like freedom, like because really animals are like beholden to, it's slave to their people. Like, but I don't really know how we would do that. How would we free all the domestic cats and dogs? And they keep coming back for food, right? It's like these damn raccoons out here. She says females, when they are fixed, basically get a hysterectomy. Sometimes they only take the uteruses and leave the ovaries, but they should not. If they die, they die. We all die one day. Heck, maybe today. You never know when you win big. True that. Let's get their testicles removed unless they are given a vasectomy to be used in a uh, as teaser toms, which are male cats that used to relieve female cats in heat without getting them pregnant. Okay. Interesting. I had my Jack Russell Terrier, Doogie Howser, MD, uh, that I had for many years. He had been like had his testicles removed, I guess, or somebody tried to fix him like on a farm. It's a barnyard surgery or some shit, and like it didn't take, so he was still freaking horny all the time. He couldn't do anything with it, but he was always trying. So I figured they must have messed that up. Mm. I think I would agree with that. I mean, you're kind of responsible for the animals that you breed, right? Like that's the way I look at it. Like if you didn't breed them, I mean, and you take them on, you're still responsible for them. But if you breed them, even more so. Like it should be that way. Like you should have some degree of responsibility, like who you're sending them with, right? We won the bad animal life, maybe to be at the top. but at what cost? Yeah, see, we have this beautiful thing we can do where we can actually introspect and look at other people's experiences and learn from them. We have this advantage over the animals, right? Like, I don't know if you'd call it superiority, but it's definitely an advantage of some kind. We need to use it. Dinosaurs, predators in our world. Or just, release all the bears in the zoo or something. I don't know. Do they still have bears in zoos? I don't know if they do that in the US anymore. Kittens come into being under your watch. You done fucked up. I was watching Flow State stream earlier. I don't know if he's still on or not, but he was talking to some people, and they were talking about the Thorps. And I've been getting interested in the Thorps recently. And some of the shit they were saying, I don't know if it's all true. In the side chat, I was like, man, if all of that is true, they're like even more fucked up than I thought. But there's some rumors that like his domestic violence is a pattern that he's had with the ex-wife and the other kids. And then somebody said that the girl Grace, who's in those videos I've been watching, I guess they did a video where he put a bottle of some kind in between his legs and she simulated fellation on it. I'm like, that's something else right there, if that's your kid. But then somebody else said that she wasn't even his real daughter, that she was adopted. So I don't know. I don't know about all these rumors, man. I'm like, got to do more research. Some crazy shit though. But yeah, apparently they did a lot of fucked up shit, which just makes me even more intrigued by it. What other animals? Lob off the balls of other animals for slaves. Yeah, yeah, yeah. True. Yeah. In a natural environment, cats are not concentrated, but in urban ones, they have lots of access to each other and they breed without any discretion. Rather be less human. Well, you can become an inorganic. You can start the become part of the cyborg revolution. What's up, William?
I heard there was discussion of lopping off balls. I couldn't miss it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whose balls are we sawing off?
Other animals.
Oh, not other humans.
Well, I mean, that's another option. I've been looking at possibly getting my balls lopped off.
I think it ought to be a penalty under the law for several different crimes. That 3 strikes, you're out thing, get rid of that and make it 3 strikes, you're a eunuch.
Oh shit.
Yeah, no jail time or whatever. It's just like, the 3rd time, you're not going to jail. We're just going to snip your balls off and then release you back into the wild. See if you can survive without them.
You mean like for sex crimes?
No.
Oh, just as a general deterrent.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything that causes physical harm to another person deliberately, 3 strikes, you're nutless. I don't care if you
I
just got a
don't
habit
know.
of going out and getting drunk and fighting in bars. Your 3rd one, people will be buying your drinks on Thursday night because you'll be with the ladies.
Well, that only works on men, though. What do we do to female offenders?
That's a good question. What could you use to? Oh, I know. We'll take the balls that have been cut off the men and sew them onto the women. Not attach them so that they're functional, just to have that rotting pouch hanging off of their vag area,
Right.
but only after the third offense.
What were the offenses again?
Anything that is deliberately causing harm to another human being, third strike.
Ah, okay.
Like, you've already gotten in trouble twice. We've already told you to stop fucking with other people. The third time, if you're a guy, your nuts come off. Third time, if you're a chick, some rotten scrotum is going to be sewed to your vag.
Can't we just cut something off of the girls too? Do we have to add something?
What can we cut off of them?
I guess the breasts would be the most logical.
No, that's
I
not
mean,
gonna reduce
pretty
aggression.
psychologically damaging to a woman. I would
Right,
think.
it's not going to reduce aggression though. It's just damaging them without cause. Taking a man's testicles has the potential to reduce a lot of aggression. That's what they do with the dogs, right?
Yes, I agree with you. That's a hormonal source that you're taking away, but I think that it's possible if you did that to a woman and it was involuntary as like a punishment, it would utterly break that person's spirit, and they would.
I think we should just
in
put
a
women
slump
down
on
as
the floor,
Yeah, for the third, because they don't have a way to reduce their aggression. If they haven't learned by the third time, I think we should just put them down like we do.
There are a lot of very aggressive women in the world.
Yes,
I don't come in contact with
in
any.
almost every situation where a man and a woman is involved, the female normally hits the male first, expecting not to be hit back.
Mm.
Women will go to violence normally quicker than men when it comes to the opposite sex. Actually, women will go to violence with other women faster than men tend to go to violence with other men.
Yeah, well, women are in that unique situation where they don't fear retaliation, or even if they do, like they're already in the mentality that if the man retaliates, he's automatically going to be in the wrong, right? And that is how society views it.
There's no social repercussion for being an asshole if you're a woman. If you're a guy, another guy's going to check you. He's going to fuck you up. Right? I mean, you don't have to do anything to him. He could be watching you fuck with somebody on the bus and be like, you know what? I'm just going to get up and go over there and set that motherfucker straight. But you don't do that with women, because if you even get near them and start to scold them, they can turn on the waterworks and you're going to jail.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not socially acceptable for men to use waterworks, and it has the opposite effect on other men. If you cry in front of another man, he's definitely not going to be wanting to show you mercy. He's going to be disgusted by you.
I mean, unless you're an extremely pitiful character that is just.
If you have gaping bullet wounds, guys will overlook your crying. Or if your wife, you've caught your wife cheating with somebody,
right? Something like that, right? Yeah.
But if you're just like, she yelled at me and kicked me in the shin, we're just like, okay, well, stop fucking crying and help me do this report. You blubbering imbecile. I don't want to get into that again because Mikey will show up and I don't want to hurt Mikey's feelings.
I think it's a little too early for Mikey. It's probably.
Suzanne won't let him get up this early. He'll be looking at pornography.
Right. Yeah, Mikey isn't usually on this early unless he pulls an all-nighter. But.
I know that I'm terrible, dude. Kevin, I know you kind of you think I'm a bastard for what I did. You were in there, so I mean, I'm open to some chastisement if you want to give me some.
No, I'm not mad.
You were disappointed that I was mean to him for what seemed to be no reason, right? It seemed like that.
I thought it was good that you brought it up because I noticed it in your previous interactions, and I don't know if he thought, like, when I saw it, I perceived it as being like just about the religious thing, like, he's kind of an easy target for that. But then when you said it was about like more of his mannerisms and things like that, I kind of got it more,
Yeah, the Christian thing is minor. I totally understand getting caught up in that, but like what he's doing and the way he's always advising other people to do what he's done, I'm like, wait, who the fuck wants to, no, you and Suzanne be happy, but you can't sit there and make a solid argument for marriage being a good thing if I'm watching you in your life and because that just looks like hell to me. It just looks like absolute hell.
Well, I mean, he's happy because he's fine imagining himself in that sort of submissive position with her, right? It's obvious that he's kind of like, he's definitely the woman in the relationship, I would think. You know, he's
Yes.
the submissive one. And he seems to like it that way, you know, like he's like the cheerleader for his wife, you know, like
She's the masculine party, he's the feminine party in the relationship.
but that's sometimes like if people's brain chemistry and their levels of hormonal like just presence are at that level, sometimes those kinds of relationships are what work for them, you know, because how could he ever be dominant in a situation? Could you imagine? Like, just try. I think he kind of needs to be in that position, right? Like,
well, you learn how to assert yourself as a man. You have to. I mean, Trusty, you have a job where you have to assert yourself, and that's not even just about being a man, but it does tend to come more natural to men once we get over that. It's okay to yell at someone. Are you sure? We can raise our voice, say, hey, get the hell off the property or some shit like that. You know, we can tap into that.
You have to, yeah. Like you said, it's part of the job in this instance, and it's also like, especially if you're working like on a regular basis with the public, like I'm not right now, but you know what I used to do, it was a lot more serious because, you know, as a guard, if a bunch of people see one person push you around, then everybody else is going to come around thinking that they can push you over too, you know. So it's like.
Yep. It's funny how like when a certain member of a group appears weak, you know, there will definitely be a run of people that will pick on them and target them and pile on.
Those are two different things. Hold on.
Okay.
Picking on them typically amongst men is how we harden each other up and correct behaviors that we see as nah. But targeting them, that's the other group. That's the group that is happy that they're soft. That's the group that's like, I can take advantage of this person's weakness and manipulate them because they're too weak to say no, and I can just befriend them and make them feel like I'm, you know, the way Bruce does with Linda. You know, you just you play them like a puppet.
There's that, or there's people with a little bit of a sadistic streak that like to exercise that, and the person is willing to let them, and so they do, you know.
Right, and I don't. It's my bad. It's like it's my fault for when I hear him and see him that it agitates me. Like there's some. I think it stemmed from our conversation where he was trying to sell me on the idea of marriage being a good thing, and I laid down the statistics. I even compared it to the skydiving. Like if you knew that the parachute that was waiting for you to jump out had only a 25% chance of opening, would you go up and go skydiving? Right, because that's basically the statistics of marriage.
The success rate of marriage.
Yeah, yeah. And being a guy, you're going to be the one statistically 75% of the time. You're the one that's being left, but your shit's not getting left. It's going with the person that's leaving you. So it seems like a poor proposition. And when I told him this, and he just started arguing from anecdote. Well, me and Suzanne are terribly happy, and I'm like, that has nothing to do with the rest of the world. You guys have found each other in your little corner of Canada, and you enjoy your dependency.
Yeah, I mean, they've furnished and they enjoy their little bubble, which I think, you know, I think that's actually okay for some people, especially like when they reach a certain age. You know, when you reach a certain age in life, it's my belief that you shouldn't really have to worry about too much. You should just be able to enjoy your life. I don't know if he's reached that age, but I imagine much older people in that position.
Right, but he's pretending to be as helpless as an older person like that. I mean, never mind. I'm not quiet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got that kind of, you know, that sense of optimism, which I like about him. It's just like, you know, but it's always it's one of those kind of unwavering positivity that kind of makes you think it's got to be a facade. Like nobody.
Well, it's not based on reason. You like you said, unwavering positivity. If anyone in this world can have that, it's because they're not examining reality very carefully. You have to be realistic.
So you think they're just blowing rainbows up their own ass, sort of?
Everybody
else's as well.
They have settled into their captivity. They can't find anyone else that wants to be around them. But They tolerate each other, and he's convinced himself that he's very happy, and I'm sure that she's done the same. But the bottom line is they both roll down to the end of the line together, right? There's just nothing else. No one else wants them.
Oh,
but
come
they
on.
found each other. No, they don't.
No one else wants them.
No, I'm being serious. I don't mean to be a dick, but that's exactly how I feel.
Maybe they're little. Maybe they're filters for seeing someone that they were like compatible with were so specific that not only did anybody else not want them because they just didn't give off that vibe, but they also didn't see really anybody else.
Neither one of them looked at each other and said, "I want you."
You don't think so?
No. That
you think it was just a default type of thing?
Willing to accept whatever was put in front of them that would consider accepting them.
Convenient arrangements. Yeah.
I'm a piece of shit for saying it.
I mean, do you think that that's true, or do you think that that's just what you believe? Or?
No, I absolutely think that's true. I think that's exactly why they're with each other. They're both dependent medically. They're both living that same kind of lifestyle. I think they both have diabetes. I'm not sure. But I know he does. I think he said they both do, though. So, I mean, they might be in a diabetes support group, but basically they have the same problems. They have the same limitations in life. Right. So they're not going anywhere. They might as well sit in the same spot together and get taken care of by their government and look for sympathy online while telling everyone how great their life is because they got married to each other.
I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I think of humans, and I can't help but think of animals sometimes because they just remind me of something. And he reminds me of just like some, like, I don't know, like some furry little, like a capybara or something, right? Or a hamster. And he's just content to cuddle up with his little, co-hamster. And they're a little happy little bubble. And I'm okay with that. There's a lot of fucked up things in this world. And there's a lot of people that are very, very unhappy.
Well, now you can add human hamsterism to a list of things that are fucked up in this world. Thanks for putting that in my head.
Yeah. I have a family member that's like that. And I can barely stand to be around them.
I feel like, I guess, coupled with the Christianity, Mickey is the epitome of what Christian men become when they take the message too seriously. They put their wives on a pedestal. They're so meek and timid. They won't say boo to anybody. They whine and complain rather than be assertive. I don't know. I think that if you look at the teachings of the Christian churches towards men, Mickey is the epitome. Like if you did everything that they said, that would be it, except for go out and work for your food. But outside of that, he's the perfect Christian male.
Do you think he would be different if he was I don't know, agnostic or an atheist or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I think he'd probably be a little. At least his message wouldn't sound like he was preordained by God to be blessed with Suzanne and this wonderful life he's living. But whatever. I'm something about the dude. I just don't. I've been trying to sort it out, but like, just I don't know what it is. And if it's because he looks like a target, he looks like something that I would hunt, right? Like he's just right. He sounds like something that when I hear, it's like,
and his voice is rather high,
When I hear a squealing rabbit, I think dinner. But
I know what you mean.
But at the same time, I know he's not food. He's not, but he's making those sounds. He's making a sound that men don't make. He's squealing and whining and shit. And that's just me being judgmental because of societal norms and whatever. But I despise that sort of weakness. Right. And that's my weakness.
Well, right? And
that's
he also,
my problem.
He can't really help, like, the natural tone of his voice is rather high for a male.
It's not what I mean.
Yeah, no, I know, but it doesn't help. You know what I mean? It doesn't help.
No, it doesn't help. It's the whining and the
that's not something he can help, but I understand. I totally get it. But, I don't know, like, I don't hold it against him. I guess I just, it's one of those things where I can't handle too much time in the person's presence or interacting with them much,
Yeah, I've had times with them where because his tone doesn't shift much, like, but I could tell, like,
it's hard to tell whether he's being like sarcastic with me at certain times. I think part of that he is intentionally speaking like that, like the way women will do, right? It is a female thing to like say, like like the whole like bless your heart instead of fuck you, like that type of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
And I saw, just want to say what's up and good morning to Christian Carpenter and Simon Hectic in the side chat as well.
Carpenter rules. Yeah, I know Carpenter. I get he's a nice guy. I'm a dickhead, and it's my weakness that I'm expressing. So I'll be the first to admit that there's a chink in my ability to block out certain frequencies, and he's on a frequency that just gets right up under my skin, and that's why I'm mean to him. There's not a good reason, but it's my reason.
Do you think that like because you're such a realist and you understand like the like the difficulties and the challenges in life and I know that he does too, but like your outlook, I think that maybe you have some cynicism,
I just made it a point to raise my sons as men, and then I look at him and I'm like, that is the exact thing I don't want my kids to be. And that's
right.
Like in my mind all along, I'm raising them. I'm like, I don't want them to be soft asses.
Right.
And then I run into one and I'm just like, oh, ew. I don't like that.
Just way too soft, too far in that direction.
He's Teddy Ruxpin. Okay. No, Teddy Ruxpin sounded like a man. Never mind. I'll stop again. Goddamn. See, it's totally
he challenges your ideas of what a man is and what masculinity is.
I don't have a problem with gay dudes. I don't. I get along with them. They're at work. I get along with them just fine. And he's not gay. But there's not a gay guy that could be able to tell that gay guys would think he was gay. Yeah,
but that's the thing about like I think it is kind of true that there's definitely like manly men, right? And I've seen guys where I'm just like some guys are built in such a way where they got big square shoulders, square ass jaws, they're thick limbs, they got big wrists, they're manly, masculine dudes, right? And then I see a guy that's like, very soft, small shoulders, soft chin line, a soft looking skin. He's got a little curve to his cheek. He's got some femininity going on, but he didn't choose that. That's just his natural hormonal like output. That's just what he is. And so
I know.
It's just there. I hate to use the word there's a spectrum, but there is a spectrum of masculinity and so there are levels of femininity in some men that are, higher. And I'm okay with it because I think that everyone kind of has different things to offer. And so I think that people, a man with some feminine traits might have something, just a little bit of a different talent set, skill set, outlook, whatever.
So
what is his specialty?
So I've been asking myself what to do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's my issue. It's not his issue. Like you said, he can't change it.
It's awesome that you're asking yourself, like, why do I feel this way?
Immersion therapy sounds like I would rather have a constant root canal for the next 3 years rather than do that for 30 minutes.
Right?
I just...
I think just like understanding it is
small
enough.
Doses. Maybe just when I see him, just pop in and just try not to say anything for like 10 minutes, and then I give myself permission to leave. Things like that until the sound. Ooh, I just thought about listening to a stream over and over, but no.
You could issue him a challenge of trying to get through an hour of talking without mentioning his wife.
No, I wouldn't do that to him. He wouldn't know who he was without mentioning Suzanne.
I think he would probably give it a shot. He might fail, but I think he would actually be willing to give it a shot. But
that's an idea. That's not a bad idea. That might be fun. I could. Ooh, that would be difficult though.
Mm-hmm.
He could do it. I don't know that I could do it. I don't know that I could do an hour. You said an hour?
Mm-hmm.
God damn.
Is that too long? Is 30 minutes better? I don't know.
Just the two of us? What the fuck?
No. Like it's a hangout. Where he's present, you're present.
Okay, like I won't insult him and he won't mention Suzanne, but if he mentions Suzanne, I get to just go balls deep.
I mean, if you want to make that deal with him and he agrees to that, I think that's what. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Because that would force me to listen intently to everything he says,
and
waiting for him to mention Suzanne so I could come off the turnbuckle.
Something that I sometimes do when I have difficulty listening to certain people is I just imagine their words turning into actual text in my head, so that I try not to judge them too much by their delivery, but just by what their output actually is. It's hard, but it works sometimes.
Anyway, there's things to consider there. I don't know, but it's my issue. It's nothing he needs to work on. It's something I'm gonna have to work on.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, it is a little bit obnoxious that he constantly returns to her as a subject.
And it feels like it's because she's in the same room, right? Like,
maybe that's it. Yeah.
No,
maybe she's just sitting right next to him all the time.
No, because I talked to him the first time we met. I think what irritated me, he was like, I'm going to have to be very quiet because Suzanne is asleep in the other room. She's taking a nap. And then, but he went on and on and on and on about how amazing Suzanne is. And I'm just like, why aren't you in there with Suzanne? Why are you on here talking to men? Would you rub her feet? I don't know, but he still brings it up, even if we're talking about other things. We were talking about the economy. We were talking about socialized healthcare, and he brought up me and Suzanne. And I just don't want to know Suzanne. How about that?
Wonder if he has like an unrealized
I get drugged back into this. That was my fault again.
Maybe he should try doing some weird kinky submissive things, like being Suzanne's footstool for an afternoon.
I see Togg's practicing what he preaches.
You don't know that he doesn't do that.
I'm just thinking that they just haven't gotten there yet. That's their next evolution.
I think that I would be willing to fund an experimental procedure where they sew him and Suzanne together as Siamese twins, like at the shoulder.
They go back to their state of what's that thing in Greek mythology where people are actually joined to people, but then
human centipede.
They thought it was funny to split them apart so that they'd have to go find each other and they'd be miserable until then. You don't know about that story?
Sounds like Hancock.
It's in Greek mythology, but I forget exactly the reference. But basically, when the story is when humans were first formed, they weren't singular; they were like two people stuck together, and
the daemons.
There were different combinations. Yeah, there was female, male, and male, and the gods split them apart, and they scattered, and kind of like the whole Tower of Babel thing a little bit. But they scattered and then had to find each other to find true happiness. So
Jill has shown up, and he has some questions for. I'm assuming he's talking to you, Kevin, about evolution. He says he doesn't understand it because he's an ape, or maybe I read it wrong. Hold on. No, I read it wrong. My bad.
Arrival of the fittest, not survival of the fittest. I meant to say something to anyone who has like doubts about evolution, is that there's two things to consider. There's the physical part of it, the evidence that you can look at it, you can think what you want about it, but it is there, right? It does exist. And there is some proof that at least some of it's pretty fucking old. And then we have the interpretation of it, right? The story of what it means. It doesn't matter which one you believe in or don't believe in, but objectively, the fucking evidence is there. The explanation, we don't know for sure 100% what it is, but the evidence is there. So that part we have to kind of accept. That it exists. That the evidence exists. Whether or not you think it's legitimate, whatever, but it is there.
Drizzle Carpenter, absolutely.
Definitely in his soft guy era. Maybe he's the original soft guy. There, Todd wanted me to pay him a compliment. There you go. He's the original soft guy.
He's very well put.
He's a trendsetter, okay?
And the other thing I would say is, like, the only position I think you could take as a theist to say, like obviously there's the overwhelming evidence of evolution. I've heard some of them say this. Well, if it's there, it's because God like put it there or allowed Satan to put it there intentionally to confuse and deceive people.
To mislead
Like,
us. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and so those are the two possible stories, right? It's legitimate and it's real, or it's somehow faked and not real. So you just have to pick, like, what explanation are you going to accept and think of as truth? That doesn't affect what's really actually true, but it's what you accept and believe, and so it's, quote, true for you, you know, which I think all true for you things are actually, we could just call them belief. If they're only internally true, then they're just belief.
Exactly.
That's what I said, but the evidence doesn't lead to evolution. It's not something, but evolution isn't something that was led to. Evolution was happening ever since any life on the planet existed at all. The entire strait is an evolutionary process. It's not just humans that evolved; it's everything, not just people.
Can I put something forward
Yeah.
to the contrary?
Please do.
Kevin, could you present? It's only like 4 minutes. It's not from a theistic. It's not a theistic matter necessarily.
It's tough to say because we're not dealing with a theory in any sense in which, say, a physicist would recognize the theory. We're dealing with a collection of anecdotes, a certain point of view, a series of hunches. I would say that the most outstanding, the salient points are, first of all, the fossil record, which is simply mystifying. We can't make much sense of the fossil record. It does not sustain any kind of Darwinian prediction that can be intelligently derived from Darwinian theory, and it doesn't seem to sustain anything else as far as I can see. It's a perfectly mystifying record. That's one obvious point. I'm not talking just about the Cambrian explosion. I'm talking about everything that doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the fossil record. Second point, we have never been able in any way theoretically to examine the central Darwinian claim that natural selection and random variation can account for a great deal of complexity. If you look at the history of physics, for example, what did Newton do in the 17th century? He said, well, the planets are being attracted to the sun by a force. It's not any kind of force. It's a inverse square force. And then he went and showed that if you make that assumption, the result will be an orbit that conforms exactly to the observed orbit, say, of the Earth or of Mars. It will be a conic section. And then he proved the converse, that if it's a conic section, the planets must be attracted to a central source by an inverse square law. There is nothing like that in biology, in Darwinian theory. A kind of a canonical demonstration that this mechanism, random variation, natural selection, is adequate to the generation of this level of complexity. From the point of view of the serious sciences, without that kind of a demonstration, one is completely adrift. You have no idea whether the mechanism is adequate for its intended purposes. This is the second point. Third evidential piece of the puzzle. Look, you turn to the serious sciences, you turn to general relativity or quantum mechanics. I can program a computer with the equations of general relativity or with the equations of quantum mechanics, and I can say, all right, what are the consequences? I can actually see the consequences emerge in a simulation. We can't do any of this in biology. And that should prompt any reasonable person to ask, why not? If this is such a simple mechanism, which could easily be programmed on a computer, how come we can't set up a computer and create something of biological-like complexity? How come we cannot see the unfolding of an evolutionary process the way we can see the unfolding of an evolutionary process in physics? It's a very serious question. I've looked at all the genetic algorithms. I'm trying to write a genetic algorithm myself. And the sheer fact is, without a tremendous amount of very special manipulation and ad hoc constraints, the computer is not going to generate anything realistic if it uses Darwinian mechanisms, and it will generate something realistic only if it doesn't use Darwinian mechanisms. This is an important point. 50 years after the computer revolution began, we have a splendid tool for assessing the intelligibility and viability of Darwinian theory, And everything that we know, I think this is the uniform experience of anyone working in genetic algorithms, indicates these mechanisms will not work. They will not work for their intended purposes. And finally, there's the utter absence of laboratory evidence. I mean, random variation, natural selection, we should be able to start manipulating organisms. When we look at dogs, no matter how far back we go, it's dogs. When we look at bacteria, no matter what we do, they stay bugs. They don't change in their fundamental nature. There seems to be some sort of an inherent species limitation, and we have no good explanation for this in terms of a Darwinian theory. We should have far more flexibility, far more plasticity under laboratory conditions than we actually do if Darwinian theory or anything like that were correct. What we see in nature, what we see in the laboratory, is very highly bounded variation, cyclic variation, as for example, finch beaks in the Galapagos Island. That's about all we see. Small variations. Why is that if Darwinian theory is correct? These are evidentiary points that I think need to be stressed, need to be examined openly, honestly. And they never are, of course. Never are.
Well, there is an explanation for that, though, and like when he was pointing out why it doesn't work in laboratory conditions, right? It's because it takes so long, for these mechanisms to make one minor change, right? It takes so many generations, you can't observe it in a single experiment or a single lifetime, right? It takes multiple generations. That's
He
the
mentioned
whole.
that though.
It could take like thousands of years.
That's what he mentioned though. He's like, if it was so understandable, we could come up with a way to synthesize it or manipulate it to make it happen quicker. But we can't. So the evidence that we need is out of reach because of the time thing. If we just, in a blink of an eye, just a second ago, started contemplating evolution in the way that time works, and then, or the way that evolution is supposed to work. So we just now started the stopwatch to see when something changes, right? We got the fossils, but we haven't been able to document a change, not enough to be substantial. In the next 10,000 years, though.
But what kind of change
The
would
moss since the Industrial Revolution, so we know that like melanation, like right there, there's an adaptation we can observe.
Adaptations are fine. He didn't argue against that. He said those were
but
there.
that's
What
all
he said,
evolution is, I think.
I'm just saying what he said because I know it's confusing. He said we do see adaptations. We do see that. But what we don't see are big changes. There seems to be an inherent limitation somewhere that keeps things from wildly changing. Like we don't have near the variation that one would expect if it was all based on adaptation due to situation. We have very minor changes. And he didn't propose a God. He didn't propose any other explanation. He just said the data to say that evolution is a sure science is scarce. We don't have the ability to call it a solid science yet, because we just started the stopwatch where we're watching these things. We're learning what the mechanism is for it, because it's not as simple as we thought in the beginning, the mechanism of change.
But it's not like evolution. The theory itself doesn't have to be a science, right? Like, because it influences so many different scientific discoveries in biology, genetics, all those different fields, that you can take it and apply it and it works, right? So it's just corroborating everything else that we learn through scientific discovery.
Well, if it makes you feel like that's a certain, and it's not a certain science, but it contributes to the certain sciences, then sure, fine, that's cool. If it's helping and it's actually being applied and things are changing for the better, hey, good, use it, right? But I don't know that is something that you can say, oh, that's definitive proof that it is this way.
And let's not forget that, usually the kinds of changes that, the kind of adaptations that are made are usually, dictated by the external, the environment of the person, the activities of the person, the dining or food, resources / choices or habits of the person, and or people, let's say a whole population. And in our modern age, I'm not sure what is going to change us, because it's not like we're in a, things have suddenly turned cold and now we all have to, over the next couple of generations, have like slightly different body composition to attribute, to help us survive extra cold winters, right? We have a cushy, comfy, like protected environment. How are we, what is going to be demanded of us to change? You know what I mean? Like,
you're only speaking of the Western world, though. That is not universally true. I mean, there's lots of places where
true.
people are still living in thatched huts.
Yeah, somewhat of a Stone Age existence. Yeah,
And they
you're
are
right.
different. Even the mitochondria of their cells are different because of what their lives are like. And I understand
Yeah.
these things, but at this
Yeah.
point, with no certain, we have evidence, we don't have proofs. We don't have ways to test all of these theories. We have evidence, like Kevin said, in other fields that seem to corroborate. But again,
Mhm.
it's not a certain science yet. So I'm not saying it's a religion, but I'm saying it's the hypothesis is just as unprovable at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like subscribing to Big Bang Theory, right? Like it seems to line up. Well, actually, I don't even think Big Bang is more defunct now, but like at least it jives with like everything else we learn, right, through our observations. Like, so yeah, I mean, there's always a chance that there could be some other explanation. We'll find it, right? That's why it's always
Right,
just
but
a theory, even if it's the most prevalent
you're believing something that you can't see, though, right? Like you haven't seen a change of kind, right? Like what you call it, Jill is talking about over here, a common
right,
descent,
and
right? We
probably
haven't.
never will.
Absolutely, we never will. Not in our lifetime, right? Because we just started the clock. We just really started watching and collecting scientific data that will later be used as a base point to monitor change. All right, but what I'm saying is, at this point, believing in something you can't see like that is like them believing that everything that they read in the Bible that they didn't see, like the hard to believe stuff, like the talking donkey and the resurrection and all that stuff. We didn't see it, and we would say, "Hey, you don't have anybody that can prove it." Yeah, you've got some reason
Well,
to believe it because of writings, but you don't know what the motivations of the writers were. You know, I mean, there's just factors that we would throw in their face. They can throw back at evolution because
see,
at this point, there's no way to disprove it or prove it.
I think though, when you look at evolution, I mean, you know, I don't see it as any kind of a religion. I see it as, like, the way I see the whole picture of it is including like the evidence and the interpretation of it so far, and that is with a margin of error like given, right? Meaning like they could be wrong about, let's give it a good hefty 50%, right? Let's give it 50% error. If they could be like, they could be wrong about, let's say that much of it. But it seems to be that it points in this direction. It seems to be that it points to a certain story. And that's the way I look at it. I don't see it as hard fact
You
or
sound
like
like a
a
Christian.
definite science. No, no,
You
no,
sound
no.
like a Christian. It could be. I mean, there's a lot of things that are true inside that book, real places, real things that we know
Mhm.
happen, real wars and things. But that doesn't make everything that we believe about that information there trustworthy enough to build a belief system on. I
Right.
mean,
But
we
if
can try, but it's
but it,
still just a belief system that does. It's not.
well,
If that you don't want to call it a religion, fine, but you don't.
no.
Yeah,
It's no healthier right now in condition than any of the other things that we can't prove or disprove.
and the thing is, and I was reminded of this earlier, and I so frequently forget to bring it up. I mean, the tenet, a religion usually implies there is a dogma. So it's not just believing that the thing is true, but believing that because the thing is true, that you ought to act or in a certain way or ought not to act in another way, right? Like,
Really? Wait, hold on. You don't think that things aren't being derived about our behaviors and how we should act and behave based on information that's posited from evolution?
I mean, evolutionary psychology just tells us why we behave the way we behave, but it doesn't tell us how we ought to behave. I don't see
Toxic masculinity, male aggression, pack mentality, all these things that we're studying and then prescribing. Look, we see these behaviors. We should do this in the future to stop children from turning into adults that do that. Yeah, there's a. I don't want to skip past that. Like ideas aren't utilized and saying, hey, because of the way we're evolving as a species, we should do thus and thus to influence that evolution. That's certainly been posited from lots of different sides.
But that's also, again, we have that other subfield, which is psychology, like is legitimate. So we can study psychology, apply evolutionary principles to it, and then expound upon it, right? But it doesn't mean that the whole field of psychology, applied psychology, would fall apart if evolution ended up not being the prevalent theory, right? So again, like it's not, the dogma
I
is
don't know
not
how I
attached.
feel about. I don't know how I feel about psychology being held up like that. As psychology is still very young too.
Can I ask you something?
Why wouldn't you be able to?
I mean, can I interrupt? I guess is my real question. You know, I've heard this, and they've probably had more discoveries since this one. But one of the reasons why there was the thought that Neanderthals, you know, at a certain point were thought of as more like savage and less sophisticated and all this stuff than, you know, Homo sapiens sapiens, right? Like, or Homo sapiens, like they were thought at one point to be like lesser humans, but then it was like discovered that it probably wasn't the case because there was evidence that you know, that someone in their group traveled with them for a long time with an injury that would have absolutely required someone else to help them. And it would have required someone to be willing and empathetic, not just them, but probably other members in the tribe too. Because if there was an objection, you know, that person would have been kicked out or killed or something. You know, like say you're just dead weight. We don't want to carry you around anymore. You know, we don't want you to, you know, slow us down essentially. But they, you know, they kept this person with them, and then there was also evidence of when they buried someone, they put personal belongings in there. Yeah, like that's
I
like a
think
sort of a
in a
personal act.
situation like that, yes,
So
for the group's health, if that person that was injured provided a
something valuable, right?
yeah, had a
Yeah.
skill that no one else had, you know,
Again, yeah. But that's evidence though, like of like a certain like evolution of thought, you know, of
yeah,
like
no one's
everything.
saying that the human psychology hasn't been there all along. I'm saying the study of it. The study of we have to hypothesize these situations and say this is probably what happened to get people to start thinking about why do we do
Right.
this? Why did we stop to help that person? That doesn't make sense. And you know, start
Right.
reasoning it. But we're documenting people's ideas and thoughts and dreams, and that
Right.
has been done throughout. But we're trying to break it down and understand the stimuli for all these. And we know a lot more about the brain because of science. You know, we know parts of the brain influence, you know, different behaviors and thoughts and
Mhm.
reasonings. So we're coming a long way, but
Yeah.
at this point it's still these things that we think of in our time as being, oh, you know, it's just common. It's really new. I mean, to really look at things science, 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 rather than religion, 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 that's a new phenomenon.
Yeah, I mean, well, ever since I think that we've discovered different ways that we can look at things and see what's really there, that's what inspires science to go further and further and further and to see more and more truth, to discover more and more truth so that we can paint an accurate picture of our world, you know? I mean, even if evolution is true or not true, it doesn't matter. We're here, you know? The evidence is what it is.
Yes.
Whether or
Yes,
not we
I
interpret
agree.
it correctly is up in the
I'm not
air.
arguing against evolution. I'm not
Yeah.
arguing for religion. I'm not
Mhm.
arguing against well, arguing against religion.
I mean, just
Sometimes, but
just
in this
yeah,
conversation, I'm not. I'm putting them on fairly neutral terms all around. Things that have evidence enough to say it's proof or it's most likely this scenario, and we understand it.
right. I
We can
mean,
say it's most
yeah.
likely this scenario, but we don't really understand it.
so for a person who doesn't really want to get into like the the guts of evolution, or doesn't really want to sort of buy into it as a truth, one thing that I would recommend to them is to go deep into the study of, and it's not that deep because there's only so much evidence of it, but into the study of the progression of stone tools throughout time. And it really does reflect, like,
That's
an
anthropology,
increase.
though, right?
It's anthropology, yes, and that
Archaeology,
reflects, but that reflects, like, and also
technical evolution, like technology.
it reflects like a development of you know levels of intelligence, the ability to focus, the ability to think about the future and plan for it, and
No, hold on.
possibilities, like over time.
What if mankind has been destroyed before?
You mean altogether wiped out?
No,
Like,
not altogether, but in great mass, like through a plague
it's
and
very,
things.
I mean, yeah,
Because
sure,
we
that's
just had
very
the
possible.
COVID scare, and everybody's like, "Hey, we're lucky we had the medicines." Well, what makes this a new phenomenon on our planet? We just are the first to be talking about it, recording it the way that we are, because we have a broader view with the
Right.
ability to be on the news. But like, if we were to compare deaths from, like, say, the Black Plague around the world, because shipping was a big thing. There was a lot of sea, it was fleas that carried it,
Mm,
right? So
right.
that spread everywhere. And look at the documentation. I mean, people that were working on technology, important people, died, wiped out. All right, if and they had some idea of sanitation, not great back then,
Yeah.
but go even further back. Imagine what a big plague might do to a bunch of people, and especially as they try to flee from the booga booga, they're running into other tribes looking for safety, spreading. I mean, it happened in North America over and over again.
I mean, but what do you mean, like, when?
Native Americans, like,
Well,
especially
yeah, I
once
mean,
the
that was
white
brought to
settlers
them.
came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Listen, when the white settlers hit the shores,
Yeah.
okay, and these new plagues were introduced, the population of the Native Americans at that point began to massively drop because disease spread, and
Yeah.
these
And they had no
tribes moved.
immunity. Yeah.
I'd like to finish.
Sorry.
So these tribes, as they encountered this booga booga, not sure what it is, start to move away from from home. They start traveling away, and as they're traveling, they're spreading it from tribe to tribe to tribe. And believe me, the population here in the United States dropped a lot just right there in the first 10 years after settlers came here, before they ever had to go to war with them. Right? Like, I mean, there were so many that were affected with no real way to treat it. Never seen anything like what hit. Again, imagine that on a worldwide kind of, like, everybody being kind of tribal that way and fleeing from the booga booga.
Yeah, I'm
The
just not.
best, the
Yeah, go ahead.
best, the best borders would be deserts and things like that people couldn't traverse, especially in a state of being ill or sick. Right? Because
Right.
that would protect certain areas from getting wiped out. They would have technology and shit. We would discover later on in digs that these people had better technology than what we thought at the time. Like, we learn a lot about that with Neanderthal, right?
I mean, and just ancient peoples, like, I mean, I don't want to get too far off track, but there's a lot of ancient cultures and civilizations that were, like, I think more sophisticated, intelligent, and clever than we give them credit for. But keep going with your thoughts. I don't want to interrupt it too
Oh,
much.
let's just go to the absurd then. Let's just say an alien race discovered us in the past, zapped,
Mhm.
A large portion of, the world, the globe,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
set us back to the fucking dark age, right? And then we have to start over again because, I mean, that's too sci-fi? I mean, but is it out of the realm of possibility?
I mean, it didn't. I mean, sure, the Black Plague happened, but there was still plenty of people, and that
No.
happened.
Wait, I moved
Okay.
on. I moved on to
Oh,
a different. How
okay.
about this? How about this? Okay, you've seen Terminator, right?
Yeah.
just imagine that happened, right? The Terminator, the machines take over the world. There's stragglers moving on into like the Matrix. You know, there's stragglers that are fighting back, and
Right.
somehow man gets to unplug these pod people that have been in the Matrix. They don't know how all the robotic technology works. The robots are down, the power's off. They start over in humanity, learning to farm or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Yeah, of course, we would expect to find some sort of evidence of, you know, a machine world or something like that, and you know, but in a
Uh-huh.
few million years, a few, in a few billion years, what would be left? Like, what would we discover if it was buried in the earth of you know, what would we find? It's all hypothetical. We don't know what we would find. We don't know how deep we'd have to dig. We don't know all the possibilities, even be it something as reasonable as plague or just insane as aliens. But when we say, "Oh, this is how long we've been evolving," we don't know. We have no way to gauge these things. We have ideas about what we think happened and that it all started here. We don't know whether we're not intentionally planted here by some other species to grow to be, you know, a slave class or whatever. Richard could be fucking right. Okay.
Do you believe in all of the different ages of the earth, like like the Mesozoic period and the
Sure.
different periods that they've measured basically by the differences in the animal and the flora and the striations of the earth
Right.
going down? Yeah,
Yeah,
you know all
I
about
think that
that.
they've got the evidence and they're
Do you
doing the
think that?
best
Mhm.
they're doing the best they can with the technology they have to date it and determine things about it.
Mhm. Do you think that the dates for all those times are more? I mean, you know, they're pretty
No,
somewhat
I think
loose, but
I don't think that they're accurate. And I'm not saying for younger or older. I just don't think they're accurate. I think we're learning how to date these things. The things that we believe we're so sure about now it's going to be outdated and silly later on when you know we get to the point where we're Star Trekking it, right?
right. But I mean, do you find it objectionable to have the attitude when it comes to things that are sort of, you know, like, I don't know, I don't want to say defined by science, but we look to science primarily for the explanation of them. Do you find it uncomfortable to say this is what it seems like what's happening, but I'm
No,
going to leave it open for new information if new information comes in?
I think you probably have heard me say that 3 times at least during this conversation.
Okay, but I mean that's not really like when you like that's kind of, I guess, I don't know. Never mind.
Yeah, I was saying that we may have evidence that suggests this is the way, but we don't know. We're not sure. We don't know the mechanism, but this is the most probable thing that happened with what we can determine right now. And I said
Right.
that about evolution. That's why I said I wouldn't call it a religion, if you
Okay.
remember back to that part of the conversation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have the ability or intelligence to be able to disprove any of it, nor do I have the evidence available or the technology to prove any of it to be true. It's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to trust the word and the integrity of other men that most likely have agendas one way or another. So I don't know that I trust anyone to tell me about it. It's just one of those things where I'm willing to say, doesn't fucking matter. Don't care.
Yeah, and
It
you're
will not.
talking to
Yeah.
people who have invested years and years of their life in researching this, and a bunch of people who have collaborated together. You know, it's been said like it would have to be like a huge conspiracy amongst most scientists, even scientists who are religious, for the most part, agree with evolution theory as being most plausible, right? Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm not saying that when I say agendas, that's just about each individual scientist and what they're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, we can go back and check it um, if we're properly motivated to go back and check it, right? But the main point of what I was saying is that this is all still new, and we're learning how to date these and check these, and we're finding more evidence. We're trying to figure out where the best place is to dig. Where's the best place to discover about evolution? You know, where are we gonna the low spots? Where are things gonna settle? You know, because I think it's hard to tell because the topography of the earth is always changing. You got geologists working on that shit, right? So it's still new, and we're gonna in the next, I guess, 5,000 years, we're gonna learn a lot. And I'm all for these guys taking their notes and doing their studies. And as science continues and agendas fade away, people will look at all the evidence much more open-minded because they'll be looking for an answer outside of whatever might have been involved in the early stages of this. Christian influence, because I know that that's something that you have to think about. For so long, things were suppressed just because it might offend the church. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Shape of the earth, all that, the geocentric.
Even just heliocentrism. I was gonna say, but I think Jill also, but there's another important point in what he just said is that the other thing that separates evolution or whatever the sciences from religion is we don't actually have leaders, right? There's nobody like espousing the gospel, so to speak, right? Like everybody who's doing it is a student of. There is no, I mean, people teach how to do the sciences, right? But nobody's teaching in the sense of like prescriptive, right? Like that's not the way that it's done in the school of evolution.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's not calling it religion, is it?
Yeah, he said it was argued by Halsey's religious leaders that the baby in the woman's womb undergoes our alleged evolutionary stages, which is used to support abortion. But again,
Joe's an idiot. I don't have any religious leaders, and I have no idea what his stupid argument is.
He's just meaning that you're a liberal. That's just anything he can pin a liberal idea on somebody with, he's going to do that. So don't pay him any mind. He needs something to do until his wife lets him.
It's just a gossipy woman is the fucking truth of it.
Where's Bruce? Did you see Bruce?
No, I was talking about
Anyway. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's not a big deal. When I was a Christian, I would have gone as hard as I could against this and just been closed-minded about it. But I'm not being closed-minded. Deconstructing from my religion made me think about what can I trust and how much do those things matter. So I'm all for these guys studying the shit out of this forever. And I'm cool with not understanding it. I just don't know that it will serve me to know about it. I mean, I'm a farmer, so I'm learning
how is your
everything.
life going to change, right? If someone comes out and says, we found it, the definitive stuff that's going to prove that evolution is true, you're like, cool. And then you
Ray Comfort was wrong. We all came from a banana 10 million years ago, right? Wasn't it? Yeah, just 10 million. Yeah, it happened faster.
Pineapple under the sea.
Exactly.
I think that there's this really big aversion in the Christian world to think of humans as animals because we really want to be thought of as something very, very special and very separate and superior, to the animal world. And, sure, we are superior animals, but we're still fucking animals. I mean, sorry, we are animals.
We're the closest thing to gods this planet has right now.
We are of, like the whole thing of, and this idea of, Adam was formed from a ball of earth. Well, let's look at it from the whole, poetic language angle. Humans are going to be made from stuff of the earth, right? Like without a doubt, because that's where we're from. So we're going to have all of the elements of the earth inside of us. So, I mean, that's not a big surprise. And if we just look at it metaphorically, sure, people are made of earth. Loosely put, where all the elements, there's a lot of the elements, and not every single one, but a lot of them are in us. So it's no surprise. It shouldn't be.
I thought that line specifically meant dirt, though. It's talking about dirt, right?
Like actual dirt.
Yeah.
But if we say the dust of the earth, it's kind of like like if we take the earth and shake it a little bit and there's a bunch of stuff that comes off of it, it's like a mishmash of assorted items from the earth is how I kind of look at that. Like it's not actual dirt, like it's of the earth, you know, we are of the earth. It's just how I see it. And if it, then that's like when I was, you know, kind of contemplating this years ago, I always thought like, how would they make that fit? Like, how would they make it fit that that evolution is true? If you're a Christian, how would you make it work in your mind that evolution is true and it matches your story? You know, and so that was part of my thought process along those lines too. Is just the whole dirt and earth and elements of people thing. But anyway,
I want to say, I think it was Richard who was making this sort of argument that because, you know, he creates all the beasts of the land and sea and all of that, right? And in that portion, I believe it was Richard who proposed that that so man would have been like amongst just those like general beasts until God made Adam, and that's like an analogy to like beginning like starting evolution or something like that. Like
we're like man emerging from the animal world, right? Like as a distinctive thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that would be like when the Promethean fire was given, right? Well, that would be the dividing line when man started to think and be a different kind of being.
Yeah, that's the way I see it.
Mm-hmm. And see, what's funny about that is that, you know, there are people out there that think that the ability to control fire, to make fire, was one of the huge turning points for us, not just because of cooked food, but because it extended our daylight hours, it kept predators away, it let people sit around and think and talk and be warm and not be controlled anymore by the sunrise and sunset cycles necessarily. It also gave them time to sit and possibly work on something, like, you know, something that they didn't have time to do earlier, and they could just sit peacefully and do it and sort of, you know, start to specialize over time in something, be it like, you know, sewing clothes or making, you know, some object that's useful or whatever, you know, like, and people talking to each other like more, you know, like, so it was like a deeper thinking. And then there's also the school of thought that says, and then add in psychedelics, you know, add in magic mushrooms, add in the stuff that they were eating out there that was making them, you know, trip and have much more abstract thoughts maybe than normal.
Yeah, I love the stone ape theory. I think that's great.
So it kind of maybe pushed us, you know, over the line.
Another advantage we got from fire that a lot of people don't think about was the ability to cook different types of foods. Gave us a much wider, you know, range of foods that we could eat. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Imagine like the people though, like as they were going through the wilderness, like trying different things to see if they were edible. That must have been pretty crazy. Like who the hell discovered that an artichoke was edible? Like that is so not edible until you really, really process it. Like you have to cut it up.
Somebody very hungry.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like a huge process. You have to boil it, but I mean, it's a big thorny thing that's full of bugs, you know?
I think you'll find that a lot of these cultures, the first way that they would try plants would be they would just taste like just a little piece of the leaf. And then they would boil it, because after enough times getting poisoned, they learn to boil their stuff first and then gradually reduce to find out if there's any damage. Just because you have to have food, you have to have food.
Yeah, true.
So are we done with that topic? Can we talk guitars?
Yeah.
Cool. Trusty, you want to see my next project?
All right.
It's not a song, it's a guitar.
I mean, I made that decision. Sorry, Trusty. You could go on if you want to, but I'm done with it.
Unless you don't want to.
I'm fine.
Oh, all good. It's fun though.
Ah,
So
yes.
I've got the guitar. It was like $230. Now I've got to turn it into something that, I mean, it's fine. It plays fine as a good guitar, but like I want it to be better.
Is that a standard Telecaster?
No, no, that's as far as like the pickups and all. I mean, the pickups. It does have like the ashtray bridge. It's got the two single coils. They're kind of knockoff pickups from, was it Roswell, and it's got a plastic nut. But so far, all the Harley and that one too has really good necks, like really good playability. Shitty fucking tuners, the shittiest shit tuners. Sorry,
But you're going to
bother.
replace them, or did you already replace them?
Oh, I'm gonna replace them. I've already no. It's the one. The Donner is the one that I replaced the stuff on. I haven't touched the Paisley yet, but that's what I'm gonna do.
That's the
And I
one
was
thing
gonna
I've
get.
never replaced on any of my guitars is the tuners. Like I just live with them. Luckily, the one I have now has Grovers, so then they're excellent. But yeah,
Oh
I've
yeah,
had some.
yeah.
We got to get you
Grovers.
some silky black shorty pajamas as well. I think those are part of the whole success of this picture.
Check. Copy that.
Yeah.
So yes, I want to. I'm trying to find the right kind of pickups for it, and I've got to get a new bridge because that ashtray bridge sucks for palm muting. And I didn't know that. Like, this is my first Telecaster of any real like classic design. So anyway, do you
It's
care
very
about
pretty.
Telecasters at all, Kevin?
Yeah, they're not my favorite. I like it, personally, I like it better than the Squire. I remember playing, I think it was called a Roadmaster Telly way back in the day. And that was a beautiful guitar, but it was really pricey. It was like over $500. So I just played it in the
Now,
shop.
what kind of pickup was it? Single coils on that one?
It had the single coil, and then it had the split. It had a split coil. So it had, yeah,
And the neck, split coil and neck.
yeah.
Oh, nice, nice. I bet that had some real rich tones.
The Ocarina of Time.
Anyway, I was trying to decide. I don't know if you've seen the rail humbuckers that are single coil size, but they're humbuckers. They're just kind of like really small humbuckers that fit in a single coil slot.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I haven't had any in mine, so I don't know how they work, but
Those ones have the two little rails across.
Yeah, those are the ones I like.
They're
Yeah.
nice looking. I don't know if it was on like a documentary. I think it was like a little mini documentary about the Telecasters. There was one little phase in the 60s where because like psychedelic stuff was really popular, they were selling tellies that had like cool wallpaper. Like as the like as the design, they had actual wallpaper on the guitar, and I think they put some kind of shellac coating or a clear plastic or something.
That's Brad Paisley's guitar you're talking about, right?
I don't know. There was like a trend for a little while where they were doing wallpaper, like the manufacturers were doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder
They were
what all
like
the designs
one of the plants was like, if I'm not mistaken, was like right down the street from a wallpaper thing that was going out of business,
Huh.
if I'm not mistaken. And I think
Interesting.
purchasing or starting to purchase their old stock helped keep them in business. And I could be totally wrong about that. There's legends behind that.
They probably had a shitload of remnants too to sell that were perfect for that kind of application,
I'm trying to remember. There was one of the guitar pieces that we use today comes from the lipstick pickup that is used in the Telecaster. That one, I don't know what the makeup company was called or whatever, but they had those little containers and for lipstick, those little silver screw-on containers. Anyway, so they started buying them to use in their for their pickup design because they wanted something new and cool, and
interesting.
and they just bought massive amounts of those and then started converting them and making their own. But that's pretty cool. That's why it's called the lipstick pickup.
Okay, that's cool.
Interesting.
Unrelated to guitars, but related to wallpaper. Sidetrack story. There was once in San Francisco a home decor company that would come in and wallpaper a room for you with a wallpaper and drapes and upholstery that were all the same print. And then they would sell you suits of clothing that were the same print so that you could go in there with your friends and take like a bunch of acid and trip out in your like your totally camouflage like paisley psychedelic suit in your psychedelic room. Pretty cool, huh? Just a bunch of floating heads in the room.
Yeah.
That would be a trip.
Totally.
Imagine on acid or something.
That's totally what it was for. Anyway, back to guitars.
I need to restring my guitars. Both
You
of
gotta
them.
do what?
I got to restring both of my guitars.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what gauge strings you use.
So I gotten really used to the Diodario Chromes, which are thicker. I think it starts at like an 11 or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, I like those ones.
I've got 11s on my Les Paul and my Court, and then I've got 9s on the Harley Benton Telecaster. Something else too. I've got 9s on, but all the other Harley Benton guitars that I got, they come with 10s, and they're already set up for 10s. 10s. Oh, dogfight. But yeah, so it's hard to say which one I like better. Well, I better break that up.
They were going at it. Yeah, I usually get the flat wound strings for my hollow body because it sounds so beautiful, and also because I don't use a pick, and so if I do like pick slides, I'm just using the back of my thumbnail, and it sounds a lot better if I do it on those flat wound strings.
Is yours a completely hollow body, or is it?
No, it's only a semi hollow. Yeah.
What is it? You probably told me.
Yeah, Les Paul.
That's right. That's right. You got the hollow body Les Paul. That's kind of a rarity, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an older one. Like the one that I have is like from the 80s, and it's an Epiphone. So, some people say it's not a true Les Paul or whatever. It's not a Gibson, but whatever. It's actually lighter than the Gibson model. So I guess it's got lesser quality.
Yeah. But chambered guitars that's definitely a weight advantage, and I don't think it suffers. They say that the lighter guitars don't have the same tone. I think they do. I think it goes down to pickups and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, because I got used to playing, so I kind of do like that, like Brian Setzer thing. So if I play the hollow body, I've got really heavy distortion. I'm utilizing a lot of that. So I'm actually, using that the resonance for feedback and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it sounds super clean.
Man, I totally get what you mean about the guitar brand snobs, though. Like my dad's one of those. It's Fender or Gibson or nothing else. He does. He is now willing to play a acoustic electric Ibanez, right? But that's it. And like Ibanez is still a small company or something. He's like, I don't know. But man, I don't really like the expensive ones too much. You have to take such good care of them and everything. I like the knockarounds, man. Those are more fun.
Yeah, that's why I feel so terrible about like the state of my hollow body is because like it would be like a collector's item. It'd probably be worth some money, but I did not take good care of it. It needs to be completely like reworked. But I'm a punk rocker, so like usually the first thing I've done, like with that one, as soon as I get a guitar, is I start putting stickers all over it, duct tape and shit to it. And it's like,
I want to save money by like learning to do all the work myself, and I jumped into a project like balls deep with like, man, this is the first time I've ever cracked open a guitar before, right? And really got into it. And I still am learning. I think I know what I'm doing, you know, with the wiring, but I'm procrastinating finishing it. I bought like super cheap guitar. It's like $150 guitar. And I've just been learning to do all the stuff to it as I go along. Now I've got to where I'm almost done. I'm like 90% done. All I've got to do is the wiring now. And I got an Obsidian wire kit, so there's no soldering involved. But I'm still procrastinating. It's like I don't want to finish it.
Yeah, it's I've gotten to the point, like I used to do all the work on my guitars myself, and then like now I can barely like motivate myself to, like, I'm considering taking it to a shop to have them restring it. Why would I do that? I'm just being lazy. Really.
Oh yeah,
like,
there's loads of YouTube videos that guide you through it in case.
Yeah. No, I know how to do
benefit.
it.
Oh, okay. I figured you did. I didn't want to be condescending there, but the setup part is, I guess, is the advantage of taking it to the shop, because, like, you know, when they tune it, that now, you know what, some of those lazy bastards wouldn't intonate it for free, right? Some of them, and then, but you can get a setup. You know, you can take it up there every few years and get them to do a setup on it. I mean, they'll do a lot of work there, just, you know, making it more playable and easier on your hands.
Yeah, and making sure that the tuning's, you know, perfect, you know, basically, like, because there's always going to be some imperfection if you don't have good intonation, like, no matter what you do. Like, I find that, like, I need to do mine because I haven't adjusted the, you know, because it's got the mine has a floating tailpiece on the back, you know, it doesn't have the tremolo, or I'm sorry, it's not a floating tailpiece, but it's you know, the bridge and the tailpiece are two separate pieces. So you've got to intonate the I'm sorry, I lost my so anyway, so I haven't done that. So it's like my G string it's always out of whack. Which is funny.
Oh, that's the worst. Not the G string.
Yeah, it's the G
It's
string.
right, right there in the fucking middle.
No matter what I do.
Yeah, I just had my Les Pauls taken up there to the shop. It's a '94, and man, I just had a setup done on it. That's it, you know. It sounds a lot better, but the dude did give me a recommendation. He's like, man, you really need some fret work done on this. I mean, these are really sharp, and I could do that for you. But I was like, no, I'll do it myself. And I brought it home and I thought about it. I'm like, I got the stuff to do it with. But like, what if I fuck it up? I mean, this is a Les Paul. I'm not fucking this thing up. But I got to do it. I mean, I got to take it up there and get it done, because, like, what's the point of having it if it's not, like, super playable?
Yeah, the longer you put it off, it'll never get done. That is.
Yeah, instead, I just keep buying more guitars. I don't know what's wrong with me. I really have a problem, Kev. I have a problem.
Well, it's better than crack, right?
Go to, like, guitar addicts, like meeting, right? So that you could talk about it.
Well, I think I found something that I've been really happy with. Now I just want to do some tweaks. I think I've covered all my bases except for, like, a traditional Strat. That's the only thing I don't have, like, in my little collection of styles, or a PRS body style. I don't really want one though.
Do you have a double cut?
PRS, nice.
Damn you. Well, no, I do technically, because that lemon drop, that
Oh yeah.
it's a 335 semi hollow. So yeah, it's double cut. So bam.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go. Okay, so what about, like, the one that that one lady, she was Sister Rosetta. What was her name?
She had a Gibson SG
SG.
triple.
There we go.
Like, it's a deluxe because it had 3 humbuckers down the middle. No,
that wasn't a hollow body, right? That was.
That was not a hollow body. That was a very thin, solid body.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Harley Benton has that replica.
Right.
Same color and everything.
I remember when Guitar Store guy reviewed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
that is a really. I don't know what the point of the 3 humbuckers are. Like what's the point?
I don't know, but I did like watching that video of her play it. It's pretty awesome.
It's because you should have an independent control so you can switch between like all 3 or go to the top or the bottom, and that's what gives you like a different like more baritone or whatever, like you switch like all the way to that lower humbucker because they're all like it's different positions on the strings, but they're also like they're positioned differently, like distance, right? So that they're picking up different frequencies from the strings.
You know what would be cool is get one of those and take like one of those cheaper ones like the Harley Benton and take the all those humbuckers out and replace them with like a P90, like the P rails that's got all 3 humbucker, single coil, and P90 all in one, and then like a Filtertron in the middle, and then like a traditional like hot humbucker at the bridge. That would be fucking spectacular.
Always wanted to do something like that. Yeah.
Some sort of weird Frankenstein. Oh, see, I can't even be thinking about that because I got to finish the ones I'm working on. But I guess I could come up with a diagram. There's also the like the you know, Ace Frehley's got a Les Paul that has 3 humbuckers, right?
Yeah, I think the Angus Young SG also has 3.
Shut your mouth. Are you serious?
Really, I never noticed.
Is he strong enough to hold up 3 humbuckers?
Well, anymore.
I got to look that up now. So but it's still a SG, right? His traditional red SG.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna look it up. Hold on.
Another thing I've been thinking is a 12 string. I've never had a 12 string, and I would love to get one. I played them a few times. Those are so excellent. You ever played a 12 string, Halsey?
No, but I love the way they sound.
Yeah. Oh, it's so amazing.
I can't even imagine like dealing with all of that on the fretboard. But do you just always put like have multiple strings being pushed down by your fingers? Like, are you ever doing individual strings or?
Yeah, well, you could do individual strings, and so like each string is like tuned at an octave. So really, like you're still doing pretty much the same fretwork, unless you're doing some kind of fancy tuning. But you can tune it to standard. It's like you would still play the chords the same, right? But you're pressing down on 2 strings at a time with each finger.
Okay.
And it's in the same position, so it's just playing the octave of that.
Got it.
So yeah, it's pretty intuitive once you pick it up, and then you can get a little flustered once you try to start, like individually picking, like on your like in the middle of the, like say on a D or something like that. But yeah, I mean, once you get used to it, it's like second nature.
Share my screen, Kev. Share my screen.
It's gonna be a while before I venture into that territory. Plus, I have problems with acoustic because my hands are kind of small, so I don't know. Ooh, nice.
Hey there, beautiful people of the internet. That's the Harley Benton DC600 from our vintage series. We got 3 humbucking pickups and a very advanced wiring, and we'll go through that in a bit. But first, let's have a listen. So the DC600, the Cadillac of our guitars, as you can see, with the cream finish gold hardware. Talking about gold hardware, let's check out the tuners. They're gold as well. If we flip the neck over, we can see there are tulip buttons, so very vintagey. Everything is mounted on a mahogany neck. If you turn it back over again, we can see the Pau-Ferro fretboard is also bound. We got cool vintage-looking block and lace up until the 24th fret. Body is mahogany as well. Then 3 humbucking pickups. This is where the fun really begins. The wiring. Now we're in the neck position. So this is this knob, therefore volume for the neck. And no matter in which position you are with the toggle, you can always blend in the middle pickup. So if you crank it up, we would now have neck and middle. Going to the middle pickup position, then we can have all 3 pickups. Roll up the neck, middle, and bridge. You got all 3 of them. And if you roll back the neck, you of course will then only have those 2. Or if you roll back the bridge, you will then only have the middle. Or if you roll back the middle one as well, you have nothing. Going to the bridge position, crank up the volume for that one. You got the bridge. Then if you crank up the middle pickup volume, you then would have, of course, those 2. So that all sounds quite tricky, but actually once you get the hang of it, you will probably don't want to play any other guitar because of all the tonal variety that this wiring offers. That's the DC600. Smash the bell. Until the next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So was I wrong about the Angus guitar, or were you able to look that up?
I found it. Hold on a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but that's essentially the way the standard SG works too, right? You can switch between the bridge and the neck position on the humbuckers. Like it's not as thick without that middle pickup. Good morning, Silver Wolf. Silver Tiny Mike. Silly.
All right, check this out.
I hope you're doing really good out there. So in my last video, I did a demo and review of my brand new guitar, which is this 2012 Gibson SG Angus Young signature model, Thunderstruck edition in ebony, the one with the lightning bolts on the fret inlays and everything like that. Really, really cool guitar. I've had it for a few weeks now and I love it. But I said in my last video that I was going to do also a comparison video between this guitar and my other Gibson SG standard. And on the surface, these guitars, they look fairly similar in a lot of ways, but there are quite a lot of differences between the two. So that's what this video is all about. So I'm going to talk about the visual differences, the most obvious things,
The neck
the different
on
pickups
Angus
and things
is
like
thinner.
that. And also I'm going to do a bit of a playing demonstration with this guitar and a playing demonstration with this guitar and all the pickups, just so you can kind of hear and compare the two and hear how they sound and that sort of thing. Quite possibly the biggest difference and the first thing I noticed is the difference in the 2 necks of the guitar. But I've had this guitar a lot longer. This is my 2019 model, but I got it at the end of 2018 because that's when they first came out. And I'm very, very used to this guitar and the way that the neck feels when I play it. As soon as I grabbed this guitar, the first thing I realized is that the neck, especially here at the nut, is super, super thin in comparison. It was just quite an adjustment at first to be able to play, and it just felt really, really slim. In some ways it's easier to play it, and in some ways it's more difficult. When I lead playing, it almost feels like I'm playing a child's guitar because it's so small. But playing chords and things like that, sometimes I miss the notes because my hands are used to playing a slightly wider neck. But it's just a little bit of an adjustment. If I played this guitar more, I would get used to how this feels. And I do sometimes. I play this guitar and then I'll go back to the other one and then that'll feel massive in comparison. So that's how they differ mainly. And I've measured the necks, and this one, the Angus Young guitar, the neck width here measures at just around about 4 centimeters. And the neck width here on the Gibson SG standard measures in at around 4.5 centimeters. So that's quite a considerable amount, or it might not sound like it, but when you're playing, believe me, it is. It's really, really noticeable. So that side, both guitars, they're both made out of mahogany, both ebony. And the neck on this guitar, I believe, is rosewood. And I'm not entirely sure what the neck is on this, but it's a lot darker. I don't know if it's showing up on the camera there. I'll do some close-ups and things like that. And I'll also double check and put the information on the screen of what neck this is. But speaking of the necks, obviously on this one, we have trapezoid, nice sort of pearl style inlays. And on this one, we have the, in my opinion, a lot cooler sort of lightning bolt, Angus Young signature inlays, obviously the AC/DC lightning bolt, which is a huge reason why I wanted this guitar in the first place. So the fretboards are very different, obviously for nut width and the actual aesthetics of them as well. This guitar has the Kluson Deluxe tuners, the more traditional ones like that, whereas my 2019 standard has Grover tuners. I think I actually prefer the Grovers and the more sort of metal. They just feel a little bit more reliable and a little bit more firmer. These ones feel a little bit, they're decent, they're really, really good, but they just feel a little bit less reliable. I've not had this guitar for very long to really sort of pass judgment, but just off a little sort of, you know, play here and there, I feel like maybe these ones would be the more better option to go for. Having said that, I feel like this guitar is quite an iconic thing, and it's a signature model, and it's a, you know, got a bit of age to it now. So I'm probably not going to change these, but if I ever would, I would probably put the Grover tuners on this guitar as well. It's cool to have 2 different truss rod covers on these guitars. The SG standard 29.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Ooh.
Maybe that's the signature one that they sell, but I was thinking about maybe his personal guitar, but maybe he did just have 2. Maybe I was misremembering that. That's
He
still
probably, Gibson did for Harley Benton to cover or make a copy of something, because they typically copy other designs. Like, I'm sure that came from an original Gibson model. And when, what's her name, Sister Rosetta, whatever, when she had hers, that was either an Epiphone,
Thorpe, I think. Thorpe, right?
Thorpe, yeah. You know who that is, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I know who it is.
Okay, yeah. So there had to be a model. There had to always be a model for a long time, since black and white days, right? So there's, you know, the kind of fan that Angus is, he's going to own every version of SG there is. He's just going to own it.
You know what? Like, it kind of makes me a little bit excited when I watch really old videos, like in the, like, well, not really old, but like, you know, from the 40s, 50s of, like, you know, people playing electric guitars. I just think, man, like the potential sound that they knew they didn't, like, you know, they didn't tap into yet. It was just waiting. You know, it's just waiting in the guitar to, like,
I mean,
come
but
out,
if you think about it, it was a mad rush, because like right after the early pickups were put into acoustic guitars, like Gretsch and I can't think of who it was for Gibson, but there was a mad rush to try and patent the humbucker. And so, like, the PAFs stands for patent applied for.
right.
For Gibson, right? For the Les Paul or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Gretsch was forced to have to alter theirs a little bit, to the Filtertron.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But that gave 2 different varieties. And then it's just been a race to continue to get the better. I mean, like, now we have active pickups, active humbuckers. I don't know if we have active single coils. We have active pickups that have a battery in them.
They have their own power source. Yeah.
Right. Like, that's fucking, they would have never even thought of that, I doubt.
I'm wondering though, like, what is the point of having a separate battery when they could just wire a little bit of the electrical input from the guitar? Couldn't they, to give a little bit to the like a little bit more to the humbucker? Does it have to have a separate battery to have what it needs, or is there a way to get it through the electrical connection when you plug the guitar in?
I think it just pushes the frequency a little bit right at the source.
Oh, okay.
It causes you to have a cleaner tone.
Got it.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the studio grade microphones have a phantom power source, so that they're not drawing from the whatever, you know, mixer you're using or whatever, like, for the same reason, I think.
Right. Yeah. I remember looking into that, because, like, I didn't know what that phantom power thing meant, and I got an audio interface that had that feature, and I was like, what is this used for? But I guess it's for mics that are, what is it, what are they called? It's not the dynamic, it's the one with the diaphragm. What is that mic called? Yeah, condenser mics. They need a little bit of power, right, to work right?
Not all of them, but some of them do. Yeah, I used to have one that did. Yeah, pawning stupidly.
Yeah, I have one. I'm not using it right at this moment, but I have one that's it's the one I've been using, but I switched just now. But it's what is it called? SM57. I think it's usually used for instruments, but they said it was really good for vocals too, and it's really super, like, like kind of like very durable, you know, like it's not likely to take any damage, and it doesn't pick up a lot of room noise. It's a dynamic mic. The one I'm using right now is a condenser. It picks up shit ton of room noise, but the other one that I was using before was the dynamic.
Yeah, that's why with the condenser you need like a good shield.
Yeah, like what do they call it? It's for S's and P's and things. I forget what it's called.
Well, you have the pop filter on your side,
Yeah,
but
there
then
we go.
you
Pop filter.
want a sound shield on the back of the mic as well.
Oh, to reflect it back? Oh,
Yeah, and it's
okay.
gonna reduce that noise coming in from behind
Oh,
because
okay.
it's
I didn't know.
picking up from all sides. So
Got it. Yeah. Well, it's nuts. Like when, like I go into my program into Logic Pro, and I'll select, you know, my condenser mic, and it's like I can hear all of the, you know, like the sort of like just atmosphere of the room, you know, and it's amazing how much noise it picks up. I switched to the other one, and it's like silence until my voice is there. Silence. It's nuts. The difference, I mean. So I primarily use the dynamic nowadays because it's just the other one is just too noisy, especially with all the room noise I typically have going on in my house.
that's why I love the blue mic I have that I usually stream with, and I wish it was more. Well, I got to find a way to make it more versatile for like recording music because it has a switch on the back, so it has like a dynamic switch, so I can go from um, like directed to so it's got like the three settings. It's got the condenser setting, and it's got the dynamic setting. I can't remember what the third one is, but yeah. So it's like it can do any of those things, like just the flick of a switch.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Very cool.
But yeah, I don't know how to interface it right now with. Well, I need like some other type of interface to use for like audio recording.
You need the one where you can plug your guitar directly into it, and then your interface has a USB connection to whatever you're using, you know, be it a laptop or whatever. Because do you use something like that right now that actually plugs into your guitar, and then, or do you just use a mic for your guitar?
Yeah, I just mic it up however I can. So yeah, usually involves I have to find the right distance, put the microphone away from the amplifier, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have any way to go direct in. Oh, thanks for coming, William. Says he's got to bounce out.
Yeah, I went and grabbed my guitar because I haven't practiced for a while, so I'm just gonna practice a little bit here in the next little while. It's amazing how little sleep I've gotten in the last 24 hours. I'm really surprised that I'm awake and as feeling as, you know, because I expected to be crashed out, completely crashed out, and I'm not, you know. I don't know. I know at some point my body's going to just give up and I'm going to not be able to keep my eyes open, but I guess I'll push it. I'll push it to that level.
Yeah, I think I'm bouncing back because my body is finally getting adjusted to these meds. They're making me super groggy for a little bit, and now it's like I just like when I went to go lay down yesterday morning, I just didn't really feel like very tired, and I was like exhausted the whole way home, right? But when I actually went to go lay down, it was like I was getting that second wind, and I just fell out. But like every little sound kept waking me up.
Yeah. Well, like I have this, when I have work, I have to be very punctual. And I have sometimes trouble waking up, but like not because I am a deep sleeper, because I have a really hard time sometimes sleeping. And by the time that I get to sleep, I'm super, super, super tired. And like maybe if I'll sleep like half an hour before I have to go to work, when I wake up, I'm like incredibly groggy, way out of it. You know what I mean? So like, but so like, even with plenty of time to sleep, if I try to go to sleep before work, I have a lot of anxiety, and I will wake up like sometimes every 15 minutes. I'll be awake, you know, to like, if I have to go to the bathroom at all, if I have to get a drink of water, if my blanket's too warm, like every little tiny thing wakes me up. And so I'll get like very little sleep, like maybe a collective hour and a half, you know, within like a 6-hour period.
Yeah, that's the thing I have not gotten used to after, you know, working graveyard for months. Like the one thing I can't get used to is like if I wake up, you know, realizing it's the middle of the day and I have that shock moment of feeling like, you know, I slept through something, like I'm supposed to be somewhere, just because like
Right.
seems unnatural, you know.
Yeah, I've had plenty of those moments where I wake up and I wasn't late for anything, right? It was just like a panic response. And then I've had a few where I, you know, it was like, you know, it was half an hour past whatever I was supposed to do. And it's, oh my God, you know, like shit. And yeah, so I try to avoid that at all costs. And yeah, because of that, like on nights where I have to sleep, like I have to make sure that I get really good sleep like the day before, because I know that the like meaning the whole day before. Because the night before, I'm not going to get any sleep, or at least not very good sleep, maybe a couple of hours.
So how much sleep do you like usually get on average, you think? Like when you sleep well?
Like if I like, okay, so the most sleep that I've gotten in the last probably few months in one long straight, was probably, I know I got 6 hours at least once. I think I got more than that once, but I think that every other time has been like chunks of an hour and a half to anywhere from like, maybe it's actually less. It's like half an hour to maybe 3.5 hours. But that's like at a time. That's not per day. Like I'll sleep that much, and then I'll be up for like 8 to 10 hours, and then I'll crash again and sleep like another 2 or 3 hours, and then I'll be up again for like 8 to 10 hours, and I'll crash again. You know, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, like the end of last year, I found that like I was on a really consistent schedule, and I would sleep like 5 to 6 hours, and usually wake up ahead of my alarm, and I felt really, really good. But it was
Mhm.
always like I always needed to take that little like 1 hour nap like after lunch. Like to
Mhm.
other, I would just be groggy like all through, you know, from like lunch until dinner time. It was just like drag. But if I just got that little nap after lunch, like I
Mhm.
just it was like I was at like peak energy, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I still haven't gotten like 100% confirmation like medically for this, but I suspect very much that I have narcolepsy and that I've had it for a while, because there's a couple of sort of specific things that go along with it that I have without a doubt. And that is, the thing is, the dreaming thing has lessened altogether, because I feel like I dream a lot less right now than I used to. But the one of the sort of hallmark symptoms is being able to dream within 10 minutes of falling asleep, because usually you don't reach REM sleep until you're about 90 minutes in. And so that the sleep that allows you to have dreams is not usually reachable that fast. But I've dreamt within like 30 seconds of falling asleep. And I typically dream immediately when I fall asleep. And it's like some people, you know, like there's this, they say like, okay, well, if you have a hallucination right when you fall asleep, it's usually just colors, or like there's not like anything complex going on, right? Like that's not a dream. That's more like just like a you know a hallucination, you know, while falling asleep. But these are like full on, like, you know, like I drop into someone else's body essentially, and I'm suddenly like walking down the street, that kind of dream, where it's like, you know, and I'm surrounded by a complete environment, and that kind of like really complex dream, like happening like within minutes of falling asleep. Sometimes I'll fall asleep and I'll have a dream and I'll wake up because I've like almost become lucid in the dream, and I'll see that 15 minutes has gone by, on my like digital clock or my phone or whatever. Fall asleep, same thing. Wake up, another 15 minutes has gone by. I fall asleep, dream, wake up. It's just like constant like that sometimes. Yeah, and a lot of the dreams are like anxiety dreams, like about not waking up on time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, see, I was thinking that because like, you can have like lucid dreaming, like when you're falling asleep, or like in those like moments when you're waking up, but you're like, oh, I don't want to wake up yet, but you're dreaming, right? Like, at least for me, I do. Like that's how I feel. Like, but I don't have the same types of dreams like as I do if I'm in a really deep sleep, right? Like they're almost like more realistic, like
Mm-hmm.
if it's a lucid dream, right?
Well, I mean, lucid dreams are when you become aware in your dream that you're dreaming and you're able to control things.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been able to do that a couple times, but the period in which I'm aware is pretty brief because it rolls right into over awareness and then I wake up.
I want to say peace and respect to Richard Madsen and answer Dr. Mordecai's question here. How much money does a pink unicorn spend? You mean how much does it cost? $1 bazillion. I'm trying to raise $1 bazillion. I know it's a lot. Donate to the Pink Unicorn Fund. Links in the description. Yeah, I don't know. I find that fascinating. Like, because they say as you get older, you don't need as much sleep, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if that rings true for me. I notice I can't sleep as much as I'd like to, but I also feel like I did a lot more damage, like as far as like a lot of sleep deprivation when I was younger, right? And I'm probably like kind of making up for that now. Like most people don't do that, staying up for days on end. It's kind of abnormal.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be able to, and I still can, but like I have to push through the tiredness if it hits me, because like when it hits me, it's like a wave, and it's like this is one of the reasons why I think I have narcolepsy, because like I'd be at work, and I would be there for, it's been maybe 3 hours, it's 10 a.m. I've got 2.5 hours to wait until I have lunch, but I'm so tired, like all of a sudden too, like it's like a wave of like, and it almost feels like I've been drugged or something, I can't like keep my eyes open, and I'd have to go and like have an early lunch, and I would go like stumble down to my car and like, crash for an hour and then come back into work. But I mean, there's just lots of times where I'm just like, going through my day, and I'm not going to say it's every like 6 hours, but it seems like I'm on kind of a schedule, 6 to 8 hours, and I crash. But there's times where like I just feel like this wave of tiredness. I can fight through it, but sometimes I give in, But it's very sudden, very sudden. I mean, it's just, I used to have what do you call it? Sleep paralysis too, like really, really bad. Like it was very, very heavily like present in my childhood and then my young adulthood, teenage years, very much. And it was way worse when I was stressed. But yeah, that was the first kind of thing that was all about sleep, sleep problems in my life. But I didn't even know the name of that until I had it for like 30 years of my life. So.
Yeah, that could probably be associated with like some kind of trauma though too, right?
I mean, the thing is, like when I was young, I used to have dreams where, I mean, young like a child, like I remember these dreams where I'd have this sensation of falling, and I would just sometimes see these like like there was this one sensation in this one time where I felt like I was like looking up at this thing. It was like this huge, like monolithic sort of like, I don't know, like a building or something like that big, right? But it was about to come like crashing down on top of me, just like slamming down like a wooden block on a table, you know, like that kind of impact. And it never hit me, but it would, you know, it would threaten to hit me, and it would do it over and over and over again. And there'd be this really harsh like sound associated with it, you know, like this really like discordant sort of, you know, like sound, like this striking metal with another piece of metal sort of sound, you know, really sharp, distinctive, almost hurt my head sound, you know. And it would be like, it would feel as if, yeah, I was in like danger of some kind, and I would be in total panic, but I would be in sleep paralysis during this whole episode, you know, like I couldn't wake up. And that happened over and over to me, you know, as a kid. And then, like I said, as an adult, like I was just like, this can't be like some weird thing that I am the only one, you know, that has this. And so I did a little research, and yeah, sure enough, it was like, wow, this is just, it's like not exactly every account is like mine, because lots of people say they feel like this ominous presence in the room, you know, like a dark presence. And some people even think that that's where abduction stories come from, like UFO abduction stories. But I never really felt that, but that also may be like a religious thing, you know, like if people already have the idea in their head about dark forces, you know, demonic forces, that they may imagine, you know, something like that, because that's already in their psyche. At that time in my life, it wasn't in mine. So that might be why I didn't, you know, feel that dark presence.
Yeah, association.
Mhm. Yeah, and I learned after a while, you know, that like if I just relaxed, like, because I would be panicked, right? Panicked and hyperventilating as far as I could tell, like, but I wouldn't be able to open my eyes or sit up or wake up. And I found that I would have to do this thing where I would relax, really, really like very, you know, intensely focused, relax. And I was like, this is a lucid state, you know, so that I could sort of count down like 3, 2, 1, and then try it all at once to like breathe out, right? And sit up and wake up. Like I would have to muster like this collective, you know, energy to try to do that, to like get out of this state. And if I got up and woke up and like opened my eyes and then like laid back down again, I'd go right back into it. I would have to sit up and like get out of bed physically and like go get a drink of water or do something. And then I had to make sure that I didn't fall asleep on my back, because apparently falling asleep on your back gives you like a higher probability that you're going to go into a sleep paralysis state if you tend to do that. So I would always try to sleep on my side. But a lot of times when I start out on my side and then I wake up on my back. So somewhere in my sleep, I end up on my back. So.
Dr. Mordecai thinks perhaps you should drink more beer. Doesn't that make it worse? Like,
drink beer and climb mountains.
Yeah.
That was the, you know, I agree. I think, you know, I love beer, so that works for me. I just, you know, I don't live near any mountains. I'm gonna have to drive to a mountain in order to climb it. I guess I could try to just do a freeway overpass. That's about as close as I have right now. But anyway, yeah. So, hey, Richard.
Peace and respect.
Good morning. I'm actually going to go practice my guitar, and I'll see you gentlemen later. Have a good conversation.
Wait, Halsey, you're the only reason I came in. I don't even like Kevin.
Oh, well. Anyway, have fun.
Have fun.
All right, you too. I don't know if you all saw, I was playing guitar a little bit over on Wild Heart's stream on V's channel yesterday morning. I was like, you know what? I haven't played in a few days, and there's some dead air there, so I just decided to fill it up. You know.
Right on.
That was fun. How you doing?
Wild Heart stream on whose channel?
PJ's channel.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess he has access over there, so I caught him streaming earlier. It's like, what are you doing over here? He was getting some more alcohol, so kept him company
yeah.
for a few.
Yeah, when I was back in 2012 in February, when I got my first major vision, I thought it was a dream, and I tried to handle it like it was a dream, and I was used to lucid dreaming, which it was really odd to be used to taking over a dream and taking control of it, and then having one that didn't work. That was really odd.
I could see that. Yeah, when I was younger, I remember I used to have like as a kid, I would have what do you call those? Like an out of body experience type of dream where you can like fly. There's a word for it. And I remember very specifically like flying over the city the town that I lived in, and then San Francisco. I remember flying over the bay, like in my dream, and I was able to control it. It was like it was just like Peter Pan, you know. And I remember these journeys that I took, and then years later, as an adult, I had something similar happen, except I couldn't guide myself anymore. It was like I was traveling as like a passenger in my own,
Huh.
experience. It was really weird.
That's odd. Yeah, they say that, it's a universal sign of happiness in human beings to dream of flying. Like we really wanted to fly. We have always wanted to fly. So yeah, I was a kid. I used to dream of flying, but I'd like to know how you flew, because I don't know. I'm a weirdo, I guess, because I needed something to fly on. I couldn't just fly. Like I had to be standing on something, and it didn't seem to matter what it was or if it had anything to do with flight whatsoever. Like there was a few years there where in order to fly, I had to stand on just the part that gets hot on an electric burner, for an electric cooktop stove. I was flying. I would be standing on a burner. I don't know why.
That's pretty interesting. No, I don't remember there ever being like an object. I was able to just like float like in my body. But there was like a certain motion I do with my legs, and I remember having of this when I was a kid. Yeah, like a kicking upward, right? Like I remember having instances of this when I was a kid when I was awake, and I very vividly remember having like this similar thing where I'm sure it was in my head, but it seemed like I could jump higher. Like I could take like a second jump, almost like Mario, when you do Mario and you double tap, you jump, and then you do the second one in midair. It was just like that. And I remember doing it when I was awake too. Of course, I could never actually levitate, but it felt like I was.
I saw that in a ninja movie one time, or a Buddhist, one of those Buddhist martial arts movies, one of those things where the guy could get jump several times, even while in the air, get up to like 20 feet or something, but he couldn't fly. Of course, that's impossible. Yeah, it's so funny.
I don't know though. As a kid, though, I wonder if you have this, well, you have a lighter frame. Maybe there is maybe you can get like a couple extra inches out of it or something. Something imperceptible,
Yeah, I think it has actually more to do with density than it does actual size. Yeah. Density and lift. Yeah.
Have you ever experienced sleep paralysis?
I don't know. I don't think so. Not by most people's definitions or what I've read about it. I don't think I've ever experienced that.
I think I've only had it in the context of like a drug experience. I've had it, but not when I was not on like some type of heavy substances.
Yeah. I guess technically we're always on drugs, every one of us.
Yeah. Our brains produce all the drugs.
Yeah, I've never had sleep paralysis, as far as I know. And now as an adult, in fact, ever since 2012 when I got my major vision, I barely dream at all. And if I do, it's super predictable, super almost disinteresting, you know.
Really?
Oh yeah, and it doesn't seem to be like, okay, like I remember before, of course, until I was 42, so I had a lot of years of, what a person would call a pretty average experience in life, and so I had dreams that were like addressing problems in my life, and I had dreams where I was like thinking about mechanical problems and trying to solve something, or there were times I was inventing something, and I would be working on, engineering problems in my dream. I remember stuff like that, but that stopped altogether in 2012. In fact, it stopped. I never had another dream like that. Now I only have sexual dreams about women, and that's it, and just nothing else whatsoever. And that's just, I'm sure, just because I'm single, and it makes me a little bit lonely, and I miss those kinds of relationships, but I just don't have dreams otherwise.
Yeah, we do crave to be intimate. I mean, that's for sure. I'll go in too much into the sex dreams, but I'll have dreams about people who I've been with who I would never be with again. But it's like in the context of the dream, it's very pleasant. I'm remembering something positive.
Sure. Yeah, I had a really positive. My ex-wife is no longer alive, but she and I got along really well physically for a lot of years, and so yeah, my brain will review that. I can understand reviewing.
And for me, I find most of my dreams are just centered around people and interactions, like in general, right? But um, it's like with a sense of, like, I don't want to say like nostalgia almost. Like I'll remember either people from my past, um, like kind of gathering together, that type of a thing. Usually in like a pretty fantastic setting though. Like I have a lot of woodland dreams, like treehouse dreams, stuff like that. I don't know.
I always wanted to build myself like a grown-up treehouse, like a real big, expansive. I always wanted to do that.
Yeah, my cousin and I were talking about that. He was actually talking about building one and then making it almost like an Airbnb, but like in the buff, or in the
Oh
raw.
my
How
gosh, you would have such insurance problems. But anyway, yeah, I don't know if you could get away with you. There'd have to be a disclaimer to go with that. They'd have to sign something. Yeah, no way.
it's just like a log cabin, right? I don't know. Depending on the the
Oh, here's
quality of
something
the.
I invented. Here's something I invented just for an adult treehouse. You ready? You take a bicycle frame and you anchor a rope in the tree and to the ground. And at the ground, it has a really short but really strong spring. So that rope is held taut at all times, right? Then you put essentially a boat winch on the bicycle, so that when you pedal the bicycle, the boat winch turns. You got it so far?
Yeah.
And you take the ratchet out of the back wheel. You take the ratchet out so you can turn the pedals either way. Okay. And what then you build a frame around from the back wheel, where the back wheel was, where the boat winch now is. You build a frame around over top of of the center of gravity so that the person's center of gravity will remain the same in the rope, right? And you put rollers along that frame for the rope, so guide rollers. Then, because of the tension, the boat winch would work, right? And you just pedal up, so you have a one-person elevator up to a treehouse. What do you think?
That sounds pretty awesome. That would be cool. Yeah, I like that.
It's so steampunk looking in my mind, but I think it would actually work. I think you could actually do that. And of course, because the boat winch is trapped in the middle of a set of rollers, you could never just like let go of the tension of it. You would just, the pedals would just start going the other way, and you start slowly going down.
Does that mean only one person could go up or down at a time, though? So you can't like, yeah, okay. And then you can't.
Yeah,
You'd have to have some way to release it to lower it back down to the ground if you wanted to like have multiple people come up, because otherwise the one person would have to pedal it back down too.
You're right. It's stupid that way, isn't it? But it sure sounds fun.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
it's
you
more of a
just-
toy
you
than
just
an
gotta
elevator.
get them to release the what's pulling you up is the anyway the yeah, to release the tension so that you could just kind of gently drop the bike back down to the
Fine.
ground.
Fine. I'll change the boat winch into an electrical winch on a remote and put a dang battery on the thing. Fine.
Wait, no. Then it loses its you know. Wait, I mean, it's still cool, but it loses something with that. There's got to be another way we're not thinking of here.
Well, you could put two seats side by side. That would be easy enough to do. Then you'd have an operator and a rider.
Yeah.
At least solves the logical problem of how useful is this thing. I never imagined someone else being up there with me, though. See, that's the thing. Like for me, it would be, Tarzan's escape treehouse sort of thing.
I guess
Somewhere
once you're up
away
there,
from
I mean, if you wanted to let him up, you could just like throw a rope down, Like, all right.
Well, of course, you'd have to have a rope ladder too, because that's another form of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like something I'd let you let kids do it if it wasn't too high up, right? Like, I mean, yeah.
What do you mean if it wasn't too high up? I mean, if you have a whole set of handlebars and you get your butt on a seat, you're pretty stable. And there's no way for the thing to tip over in any direction. The more you tried to tip, the more it would fight you on that.
It's hard. Nerdy says he have so the bike instead lowers and raises the entire treehouse.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be geared really low, Nerdy. Like, I don't know how strong your legs are. Yeah, I actually know how to set up that system. You use cogged belts and cog gears for that kind of a belt, and you hook all four corners, or at least three corners if you only had three corners. You hook all four corners together and you put them on slides, and you put screws in the center of those so that all the belts turn at the same time if you turn the belts, and all of the screws turn at the same time at the same rate. And that's how you build something that will, take something heavy and lift it up and set it back down again. And then you just have to turn the belts, which, fine enough thread, you could probably do with human power. You'd have to keep everything really well greased and have super fine thread, though.
That all sounds really complicated. I don't know.
It is really it's usually only used in like manufacturing and machining and stuff like that. You don't normally do stuff like that. But there are such systems. You can do it. I made myself a book press that is much like that. I took apart four carpenter's wood clamps that have, you know, screws in them, and the screws are like a foot long, and they're both to center left and right hand thread, and put those through blocks and built flat frames and put a turning handle on it so that all four corners of it, you know, both surfaces stay even to each other, opening up or closing. And that's something you have to do to build a book, you know, from scratch by hand. So I made myself a book press that same way.
Fancy.
And then the four corners are hooked together with a V-belt and V-shaped pulleys. It's not all that fancy, but it works. Yeah, I'm trying to do a Byzantine style Bible in the translation that I've adopted, and so I'm working on that. I'm writing it out page by page and doing all the translation work myself, which means it's going really slow, including you know, colorized drawings that are representations of the ideas in whatever part of it. So a bunch of drawings as well. I don't know that I'll ever get it done.
Well, one might say you're almost going back to the old ways, right? Like this is like.
Well, that's the whole idea, is going back to the oldest possible way. I mean, this Bible is going to be probably about 13 inches tall and about 10 inches deep and about 3.5 inches thick when it's done. And it's going to weigh, you know, probably a good 15 pounds or something silly, but it'll be really, if I ever get it done, it'll be really thorough and easy to understand. And right about then, I'd want to share it with the entirety of the world, and right about then, the world would be ending.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't think you'd want to like cut it into like, you know, just a couple of smaller volumes? I mean, that's a big book.
What do you mean cut it into certain smaller volumes? What do you mean? Why would you do that?
Like I don't know, like 13-inch. That's just a really big book. I don't know. It seems like you could have like two, like part 1 and part 2, right?
Well, then they could get separated. I guess the advantage is if you made it into parts, if you lost one part, you still have some other part of it. But I'm not planning on like loaning it out or anything like that. Just keeping it for myself and talking to people about it and showing it to them. Ooh, old man, that time of the morning. Bye, Kev. Oh, now I'm running. Oh, I'm running from rebuke and reprove before he comes in and absolutely destroys my theology. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Or I have to go poo. One of the two. Who knows? It's about the same. That's really about the same thing, isn't it? Hey, thanks for letting me on your show, Kev. Have peace. Know that you're loved. Know that you are loved, Kev. Bye.
Thank you, my friend. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, it's probably time for me to wrap. Anyway, it's a good time. So yeah, it's been fun. Don't forget to donate to the Pink Unicorn Fund if you can. Donation links in the description box. Thank you to William Freeman for the very generous donation, and for coming on the show, as well as Halsey and Richard, everybody in the side chat here, including Jill, Nerdy Rodin, Dr. Mordecai Cassius Marcellus Jones, Saw Gaming with Silverwolf, Christian Carpenter, Simon Hectic, Tog. Tog says he's going to be doing a stream later on the channel about something we were talking about earlier. I don't know. I don't remember which part, but it had something to do with something we were talking about earlier. So let's see. Did I miss anybody in the side chat? Oh yeah, Cher Wilkes is here much earlier. And anybody else I missed, much love to everybody. I'm gonna be over here, squirreling away these funds. I've got the hot ticket to a rare commodity, pink unicorn. I've been told that it flies. It's got all the bells and whistles. Bass boost and the speakers in the back. I'm gonna be pimping right around on my pink unicorn soon. You watch me. All right. And that concludes this episode. It's been real, y'all. Have a great day or, night, wherever you're at, whatever time it is for you. And I'll be back again probably this time tomorrow. Got another review video to do. So we'll be doing that. Trusty Ape out.